Today, for the very first time, I get to hear Metallica's classic album, And Justice for All. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another album review / reaction here on my channel. I just realized that I'm not going to be able to flail my arms as much as I normally do because we have microphones in front of us. And that is going to really hurt that's going to cramp my style quite a large bit. That's
People
kind of
come to the channel for arm flailing.
It's probably one of the only things I execute correctly. But hello, everybody, and welcome back to another album review / reaction here on my channel. As I said, today we're doing our third video in this series of videos that I've had my awesome friend Chris here helping me out, going through the Metallica albums that I have not heard before, strangely. But today we're on the third album, the third video in this series where we're doing And Justice for All, as I've now said like 5 times. I just love saying it because it's really awkward. The ... and Justice for All. Like, there can't be very many albums in the history of music that have a title with like a... Like,
no,
what's...
It's an ellipses.
Is it an ellipses? That's what I was going to say. I was getting
Or maybe that's just at the end.
Or is it ellipses where it's you do it before and then you do a phrase and then you do it again afterwards?
Well, that's what I meant, because it's at the beginning. Does that still make it an ellipses? I don't know.
I would think... What's an ampersand?
That's the and sign.
Oh, that's what I thought. Okay. Grammar.
But
so cool.
We count on the people in the comments section to teach us everything that we know. So please tell us about ellipses in the comments.
Tell me talk good how.
Tell me talk good how.
That reminds me of when we were in college, Psycho Stick.
Oh, yeah.
Beer is good. Beer is good. It are go good with pizza.
I just saw a Psycho Stick thing for some reason.
Dude, who's thought about Psycho Stick in like 10 years? They're probably amazing now.
A band that played with them.
Dude, that's awesome.
It was in a tiny little bar in Council Bluffs, Iowa.
That's awesome. That's cool, but not as cool as playing a show with Necrogoblicon, which your band did, which is really awesome and badass.
That was.
I got to see John Goblin run around this tiny little bar where you guys played. Not to undersell the show or anything, but it was awesome. It was awesome. And then I really screwed up when I was trying to use your phone to take a picture of you guys afterwards. Remember, it's a really blurry photo with you guys and John Goblin.
Oh, yeah.
John Goblicon. John Goblin or John... I think it's John Goblicon.
I haven't thought about that band in a long time
Anyway,
either.
It doesn't matter. They're awesome. Apparently, that album came out last year that was really great. So anyway, we're here. I want to say at the beginning before we get too far into this, so far both my Metallica videos have worked perfectly to use the audio that we're listening to from the album in the video itself. So hopefully with And Justice for All, it will be the same. I'll be able to use all the audio that we're listening to in the video so you, listener or watcher, will be able to hear exactly what we're hearing. If for some reason that's not the case and Justice for All is their copyright settings are different or whatever that Metallica has on their YouTube claims and whatnot, I'll have to put a link to listen to the album in the description of this video, which I will do anyway regardless. But just know that that will be in there if I have to include that. I also have to take this a moment to apologize because I said that at the beginning of our Master of Puppets video, and then I got rushed and tried to put out the Master of Puppets video as fast as possible and completely forgot to put the words on screen and stuff like I say I do. Like, I'm always like, don't worry, everything will clearly be labeled, and it wasn't. But I did have the timestamps, which will also be in this video in the description of the video. So you'll notice on the timeline of the video and in the description there will be all the different timestamps for the different sections. So, yeah, be aware of all that stuff. We were talking just a little bit before this, like we don't have any shtick or gimmick or anything to do this time. Not that we had did before, but like we had the comic books last time and the time before that when we reacted to Ride the Lightning, we got to talk about Metallica and like basically everything that I had ever heard about Metallica and Metallica and the zeitgeist and just pop culture and stuff. And we don't need to do any of that stuff for this video, so we can get to the music quite a bit sooner. But one thing I want to mention real quick is that I wanted to put some really, truly heavy metal albums up on my wall. So you will notice, Chris, that I have up here the good old D10 album.
Yes, D10.
That's one of my
Everyone's favorite heavy metal singer.
Oh,
D10.
you can't see it in the video. It's angled up to not high enough, but whatever. You can tell it's a classic album. Everyone knows the cover of that. Good old D10 is what I literally thought it was D10. And when I bought that, I thought it was Eminem's group. Remember how he had that group D12?
Yes.
And I thought it was that. But I was really young at the time and stupid.
Patrick admits to very embarrassing things on the internet.
Nah, who cares? But then we have also got good old Molly Hatchet over here.
I mean, that is kind of heavy. That album artwork is extremely heavy.
Oh, the Molly Hatchet album covers are so cool.
I don't know that I've ever seen that before.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It being I'm not necessarily a vinyl collector, but I have acquired a lot of vinyl over the years if I find it at garage sales and things. And I actually own quite a large amount of it. And the Molly Hatchet one, that's like a classic. That was one of the early albums that I bought. You know, I bought a whole bunch of like classic rock stuff. I don't know if you would consider Molly Hatchet classic rock. I guess you would.
Yeah, why not?
I don't know. Who knows? Would you consider Black Sabbath classic rock?
I mean,
I'm not saying that Molly Hatchet and
on
Black Sabbath are
depends on the context.
Yeah.
Genre is a myth.
Yeah. So anyway, I put those two on the wall, and I left my Evanescence up here, of course. Got my Seven Dust signed Blue Birthday Massacre and also Demon Hunter over here, so that you can see the outline of Chris's head if he leans over there. That's why I always try to have light colored things on the outside. Yes, I do actually think about stuff like that. But I did think this might be an interesting time to show people this, because you can kind of see it in the video. Here's some of my vinyl records. We're not going to go through them or anything, but I did think it would be kind of fun to pull out a couple and be like, hey, here's... I was going to make a joke about, for example, ooh, look, here's Queen, a real metal band. But then I realized that I don't really care for Queen anyway, so, you know... Quiet Riot.
Oh, that's cool.
Really cool album cover. Then I got Kiss here. I mean, I got all sorts of stuff, but this is my classic rock stuff. So I was like, oh, I can show this. Triumph. Here's Scorpions.
I don't know if I've ever seen such a fancy piece of furniture to hold records.
Isn't it awesome?
It is very specifically for that purpose, and that is it. There is no record player in there. Nope. It is just a cabinet to hold vinyl.
Yep, I absolutely love it. That's kind of what I wanted to show off in this.
That
was the purpose of this.
Oh, look, it's wow. Oh, like there's like...
You can't see it in the video, but yeah, there is little...
There's a sticker that tells you what kind of music you're supposed to put in there. There's one that says classical and instrumental and album books, male vocalists, female vocalists, dance music, and popular, which covers all of the bases. You would never need more genres than that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Doors. These were two of the ones I was going to put on the wall. Jethro Tull, who actually have a new album coming out.
See, that would
soon.
be a little funny Metallica joke to do that.
Would it be?
Yes.
Especially this one, because I assume this is like a later Jethro Tull one that everybody hates. But that would have been nice to know that. I could have done a little jokey joke there. Well, we got some Jim Croce. We're not going to go through this.
See, I thought that was Frank Zappa.
Oh, no, Jim
Those guys
Croce.
look the same. So
Now,
the reason that would be funny, Patrick, is because everybody thought that Metallica was going to win a Grammy.
But Jethro Tull won it.
But Jethro Tull won it with was it for Justice? I don't even know. I mean, I've heard the story just like everybody has, but you guys have the time to Google to make it look like you knew before you even heard me say this. So I would encourage you to go do that. You can say Chris is a big fat dope in your comment.
We gotta one more record we gotta talk about. This is one of my prize records in my collection.
That is actually surprisingly awesome.
Good old Hardcore by Lil' Kim, featuring the classic Big Mama Thang, Queen B-Word. What else? A lot of cool stuff on there.
That is an excellent album artwork.
It's legit awesome. Like I'm not even joking. I love that I own this. And
speaking of vinyl, I don't know. I didn't go fact check any of this. This is a factless video. But I saw a picture today on the interwebs of like a bajillion of those Adele vinyls like on the shelves at Goodwill. Because I remember hearing that was like a whole deal because she wanted so many of those printed. When that came out, that it like slowed down the whole vinyl industry.
I did hear that as well. Yes.
This was like whatever. I don't like follow Adele, but
no,
like,
I think it was 2 years ago. Yeah,
but then there was a picture of like, I don't know, 50 or 100 copies of the same record, like in a Goodwill, like somebody was clearing out a warehouse and didn't have.
That's really interesting. I haven't seen that. I do know that. I know that was looking this up actually just recently. It's weird you mentioned that, but I know that she sold 189,000 copies of her album on CD. It was the most amount of a CD that's been sold of an album in like a decade or more. Like Taylor Swift doesn't even come close. And I think one of the reasons for that is that Adele is humongous in Europe. Not to say that like Taylor Swift and Beyonce and stuff aren't, but I think Adele is much bigger in Europe, and CDs are still a much bigger deal in Europe, I believe. Anyone feel free to correct me there. I honestly don't have anything else to talk about. We could mention real quick that I want to thank everybody who has been watching these Metallica videos on my channel. I said it in the last video, like, when I get 1,000 views on a video, that is 930 more than my average views on my channel. And so it's absolutely crazy to me. And also in the last like 3 months, I have like doubled my subscribers almost. I looked earlier today and I think I have like 430 subscribers. Whereas at the end of last year, I had less than 300. Huh. So thinking about subscribing and all that stuff, even if you want to unsubscribe when we're done with the Metallica videos, after we do 72 seasons, like I totally get it. Though I will say, unlike other YouTubers and stuff, because I subscribe to so many channels, and sometimes people really just like spam videos, like releasing videos every day and stuff. That is not something I will ever do on my channel. You get just like a couple videos a month from me, and that's pretty much all it will ever be. If we have like, I guess I could say this, we have coming up you stupid phone. We have some really exciting stuff coming up that I'm just like so pumped to like react to some of these albums. But so Just Jack released an album on March 3rd, which was last Friday, I believe, or maybe even the Friday. Yeah, it was the Friday before. And I went to his website. I'm a big fan of Just Jack, which we did a reaction to one of his songs. Yeah. But files got messed up, so I wasn't able to release it here on YouTube. But anyway, I went to his website and ordered a CD of that new album and a copy of his last album. And the website inaccurately charged me double for shipping. And I commented on one of his things. I was like, man, $17 is a lot for shipping, but it's coming from England. So I was like, well, maybe that's what it is. And he responded to me personally and was like, hey, man, I'll throw in a couple extra things in your package for you. Because you got double charged for shipping. And I was like, man, that's awesome. So I'm waiting for that to get here. So I know that album's out already, and I'm waiting till I get the CD to react to that. Plus, Just Jack's not like a huge artist, so it's not like anyone's going to ever watch that or listen to that anyway. But we also have Depeche Mode and Ellie Goulding coming up on March 24th. That's next Friday. Not this upcoming Friday, but next Friday. And I cannot wait for that. Depeche Mode, this is going to be the first time in probably like 20 years that they've released an album with a 5-year cycle. Usually they have a 4-year cycle. They release an album every 4 years. They've done it that way since 1990, I think, or 1991 when Violator came out. But I am so pumped for this. People are responding really positively to it online. I've seen people just like thumbnails and stuff like Depeche Mode's amazing, Depeche Mode, whatever. And I think Depeche Mode's last 2 albums are actually their best albums, so I'll do that on my channel. Ellie Goulding, I've talked about in my last video. I think that's really great. Then next month, we have VNV Nation comes out on the very same day as Metallica, which is April 14th. So that's going to be a tough one. And really excited for both of those albums. I'm really excited for Metallica now. The more we listen to this, the more I'm like, yeah, heck yeah, let's do new Metallica. And because I'm going to love it the most out of anything they've ever done. And people are going to hate me. Someone will probably send some bomb or something to my house because I love Metallica the most. 72 seasons, hashtag best Metallica ever. But also VNV Nation, can't wait for that. That's like, it's been 4 years, I think, since they released their last album. And then the following week, we have The Heavy and the 69 Eyes. You familiar with 69 Eyes, a gothic metal band from Finland? They've been around forever. Their new album comes out, and The Heavy's new album comes out. So I'm very much looking forward to that stuff. So that's at least stuff that's coming out on my channel. And I'll maybe cut all that because it feels like we were just wasting time.
I don't know. I do have an important announcement to make.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of things I thought you were going to cut.
Oh.
You got up for a minute when we were taping the Master Puppets video.
Yeah.
And I talked a little bit about Spirit World and Hell Ripper.
You did.
And I mentioned that my Hell Ripper shirt was in the mail. And so I wore it today.
Dude, I love the yellow color on
I know,
there.
right? Isn't
that
it awesome?
Is so cool.
And speaking of getting stuff from small artists, which Hell Ripper is, I ordered it. I forget what. It was like some merch service or whatever.
Merch Now?
No, it was like Eat Merch, I think. But And I do actually appreciate this. I have no problem. I have lots of band T-shirts. I'm not dying to get a new one. I mean, I am very excited when I get them. But I got the full small band experience because it took them like a week to ship it. I thought maybe I'd get like a sticker or something, but I did not.
Oh, that's
it's okay. It's not like the shirt was that expensive, and it's on Gildan Heavy, which thank you for doing that. Thank you. Please only print your shirts on Gildan Heavy. There's no reason for anything else.
I don't even know what that means, but you're in a band, so you've made shirts before.
It does. I've made lots of shirts, and I wear lots of shirts. I wear a shirt every day.
I tend to wear shirts as well. I debated about not putting any pants on for this video, but I do have pants on. So
I wear a heavy metal T-shirt every single day.
You do, pretty much.
No, every day.
Yeah, he is not lying.
I put another shirt over it when I'm at work.
Yeah, I honestly don't think I've ever seen you not wearing a heavy metal shirt.
I now have 2 quilts that are made of heavy metal shirts that have been
That's
retired.
so awesome. That's so cool.
I've watched my wife do this the last time, and it was like, it's so much work. I helped a little bit, but
dude, that's so awesome. You could probably sell that quilt for like $1,000 on.
Not now, because. But yeah,
right?
I wouldn't want to, and right, I mean, the amount of money that I've spent on band T-shirts in my life is unbelievable.
Yeah, I believe it. It is kind of a bummer when you do something that's like a smaller artist and they don't even like. I'm not saying you have to like handwrite a note or something, but like if I get a little handwritten note like "thank you for this" or whatever, I was like, "This is awesome. This is the best band ever. They're so cool."
Yeah.
So dude, yeah, shout out to small bands that are working it hard. You know.
Yes.
Okay, I guess who knows what of all that will make it in. But so today we're going to listen to "And Justice for All," and I think that I looked at the track listing a little bit earlier. So spoiler alert, I already saw the track listing. The only song I recognized from this at all, like nothing rung a bell at all, other than one. And I know I've heard that song. I didn't like pay attention to the mix or anything at the time because when I've heard it, it was in the context of watching another channel that I enjoy reacting to it. And so I don't even know how that came up or why I watched it because obviously not having any association with the song or really Metallica at all. I don't know why. I think it was just I was watching someone's I found a cool reaction channel and I was just going through some of their videos and I saw that they did a Metallica one and the thumbnail probably said something like, "Is this the most emotional song of all time?" or something. And so I was like, "Ooh, clickbait that," and there we go. And people cry during the song and stuff too. I've seen that in several. I think Charismatic Voice. I think that lady, she's probably one of the most famous reacting YouTubers.
Oh yeah, she's the vocal teacher that does that.
Yeah,
hers are pretty good.
Yeah, she is she's so awesome.
She doesn't talk over the best parts of the songs like we do.
Nope, she just listens and then pauses. But she can take her a half hour to listen to one 5-minute song though. Yes. So we do better than that.
Well, she has interesting things to say.
Oh, definitely way smarter than both of us combined. Oh yeah. I still, to this day, don't know necessarily. Well, no, that's all right. Just don't get in trouble.
Anyway,
Lorna Shore sucks. But anyway, I think that I know that this album, "And Justice for All," has no bass or whatever on it, or it's really low. So I'm expecting it to sound pretty bad. But I don't know. We have worked on music before. I have mixed albums, metal albums of his and a few other bands and things. And so I know that there can be a lot of really good low end in guitars. So if they just made an album where the guitars just have all the low end in the world in them, and then the album could still be pretty beefy, I think, and might still sound actually pretty good. However, you have to have that the frequency in the middle of the mix, the low frequency panned mono, in the middle, so that the kick doesn't sound like it's I just really don't know what to expect.
Yeah, let's not. I mean, we're gonna talk about that surely.
No, I know.
But that's the thing. Oh well, there's no bass on Justice.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, I even was gonna say that. I'm not gonna harp on that the whole time. I'll listen to it. I'll hear it. If there are moments where I'm just like, wow, this is unlistenable because there's no bass, I may mention that. But no, that was why I wanted to mention it now. I just usually in my reactions I try to do my thoughts about the album or my expectations for the album is usually what I listed in the time stamps.
Yeah.
But for this one, I think you said that you like Master of Puppets the most in terms of their original stuff.
But for a very long time, I told myself that Justice was my favorite one.
Really? Okay.
I did for a long time.
And I know my good friend Chris Parker, who I've done videos with on the channel as well, when we did we've done several reactions together. Justice is his favorite Metallica album of all their albums. And I do know that people look really fondly at this album. So like I don't know what to expect. Because people like it so much, I almost wonder if it's going to be heavier than Master of Puppets, though I highly doubt that because there's no bass, so how could it be? But again, I'm not going to harp on the bass. But this is the album they released before the Black Album.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know that we talked about that before, that the Black Album was like a pretty big departure from them and everything. But I'm curious to see if this album will kind of be like a little bit of a bridge between Black Album and Master of Puppets. Or if it's just going to be totally different, or if it's going to feel like a continuation of Master of Puppets. I'm really curious. I don't know how much Cliff Burton was the bass player before Jason Newsted. I don't know if he had very much input in the writing of the songs and stuff, but I would assume that because they apparently treated Jason Newsted like crap and stuff and didn't want his bass in the mix at all. Like, I'm assuming he had zero say as to like what, like songwriting at all. So like, I would assume he had nothing to do with songwriting on this album. And I don't know if Cliff Burton had a lot of stuff to do, but especially when we were listening to Master of Puppets, there was all sorts of crazy bass stuff on there. Or no, that was the Ride the Lightning too, right? There was all that stuff in Orion and Call of Cthulhu, the two, like there was all sorts of crazy bass stuff. The bass that sounded like an organ, all that stuff. And I would assume that a lot of that came from Cliff himself because he's like, hey, I can make my bass sound like an organ. Okay, let's do it, you know? I would assume we'll get nothing like that. Obviously, if the bass is not really existent on this album, there will be no point, I would assume, when the bass is like a featured thing. So I would assume it'd be super guitar heavy, and hopefully the drums don't sound like crap. You know, I don't know. I really don't know. But with all that said, let's just go ahead and get into it. I've got it pulled up. I believe we've got everything set up in such a way that it will work. This is from 1988. So far, Metallica's been on every 2 years. 84, 86, 88. From 1988. And Justice for All. This is the remastered version from 2018. Track 1, Blackened. 6 minutes and 40 seconds to start, and oh my gosh, the second song is 9 minutes. And then we have a 6.5, 7.5, 6.5. Holy cow. All right. Love the snare drum I heard there for a second. I hear the bass. What the heck are people talking about?
I don't know.
It sounds just as farty as it has on the last two albums. Maybe not as prominent as it was on Master, but it doesn't sound much different than Ride.
And maybe it's the mastered version. I haven't seen much about that, too.
Yes, James sounds way better. There's still a bit of like a caverny reverb on him. But it's way more of a dry signal than a wet signal. Interesting that the guitar went out on the right channel there. There's definitely like a groove that they just have. You know, this just sounds like Metallica. I don't know, is that wrong?
Wow, I don't have an objective opinion about that because I've listened to this 50,000 times. The
kick is lots of high end in the kick. You really hear the beater. You can really hear the head. I like it. It sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's not like a boomy giant kick or anything like that.
No, I think
Like, I definitely think, like, I specifically mentioned the sub frequencies on the kick on Master, and I'm not hearing that here. This is a much more boxy sort of sounding mix rather than a rounded one. Snare is just dry as a popcorn fart, as Cleet would say.
but it's super loud.
It's very loud.
Which is how it should be.
Like there's more high frequencies in the kick than there is in the snare.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the kick still definitely sounds like a kick. The snare definitely sounds like a snare. The guitars sound really good. Ooh. Little intro fade there. We should have looked up if this was recorded onto tape still or if this was digital.
I guess I don't know. I would assume tape.
So there we have rhythm guitars underneath, but this like lead lick is doubled, harmonized, spread wide. But you can still hear just the kind of chords underneath.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta say, my first impression is that I do not mind the mix at all.
No, I like it. I think
Like,
it sounds
it
great.
actually sounds really good. It's a completely different approach. Sorry, solo. No wah, really. Or there was a little wah there on that bend, right? It doesn't have that Godsmack tone. I really like this. It's so awesome that with each album, everything gets drier and drier. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, that's just pop culture. That was what was happening in music at the time. We should react to the Black Album, too. Okay, they're going back to another verse here at the end. Love that. And he was doing that on the kicks earlier, but in the last chorus here, he did it on the snare.
No fade out there.
No fade out there. No, okay. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really nice. Like I said, the thing that stuck out to me the most was the dryness of everything.
Yes.
And also the fact that I could very clearly hear a bass. Like, was it the way it would be mixed now? No. But you could hear the bass. You could hear, there wasn't so much like low frequencies, but like I could hear the fartiness of the bass, like we mentioned on Ride the Lightning specifically. Like the bass was very unimpressive to me on that album and really never stood out, except for the few moments where we were told in the comments, like, oh, that's a bass, which you knew that the beginning for Whom the Bell Tolls was a bass. But other than that, there were moments where I was reading the comments like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that was the bass doing that. So, and then on Master of Puppets,
but there were even a few spots, and now that we talked about it, I was trying to tune into that. There was even a couple of spots where you could hear like that rattly string sound bass that I think is a good metal bass tone. That like
I think that's probably what I'm talking about when I say farty bass.
No.
Or do you mean?
But there was it only in a couple spots like it actually stuck out, like where it's like this is metal bass right here, where it's not just like that it's adding timbre instead of just low frequency.
Yeah, yeah.
Which.
Yeah, for sure. And so that was great. I'm way more excited now to listen to it.
I think the thing that was, I mean, for the way that everything else is with such dry snare and like everything is, I mean, this is getting closer to modern metal production.
Yes.
I mean, between Master Puppets, which sounds great in its own right, to this, we are much closer to where we are now in that 2-year span. But I would say
vocals,
and I know that this, the vocals are.
They're way
also
more way more present.
I mean, that's like pretty heavy.
No, it's the same thing as it has been.
What? I was gonna go down a different way.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Like,
okay.
but it's
say what you were gonna say.
well, because like James Hetfield isn't screaming.
Oh, his vocals.
And like, so I can understand how they get handled a little bit differently. Although there was one weird thing production wise. I think that this was happening. It was towards the middle of the song, where it kind of sounded like there was something that was supposed to be the response or the background vocals, not the call and response, like the second part that was like in the center, and then the more leady thing was wider, louder, brighter. And I just thought that was kind of a weird choice.
I guess I didn't notice
that. It just stuck out to me at one point.
You don't mean the part where it was the call and response part was what I commented specifically, like, oh, there's like a leading fade in thing.
It might have been the part that was after that.
Okay.
Like,
sorry.
Anyway,
I can't pay attention to everything.
No, we can't, and that's the thing, and that's why
the whole
this
point of it.
is a reaction, and also,
not an analyze.
Patrick is learning to love Metallica, but I actually do. And if you want to listen to this record, which is something that I would highly encourage you to do, you should go listen to it, and you should go do the things that like people are telling us about in the comments, where you go listen to it very loudly in a car while driving down the highway. That is a great way to listen to this, and that's also why I don't really know the album titles or the song titles of this record very well, because when I really freaked out about this record, I remember the car that I was driving. Anyway, doesn't matter. The one thing that I would say, and this has got talked about to death too, so I'm not going to bring this up. But last time specifically, we were talking about, I think the thing that might have been like maybe at least a sonic step sideways, if not a backwards between Master Puppets and this record, is that I don't think the guitar tone is as good.
Really?
I think it's fine. And it gets talked about. Like
I noticed,
a lot, like
I noticed right away that it was different.
Scoop mids, because it is scoop mids.
Okay.
And like, but last time you specifically mentioned, and we didn't talk about this anymore. That the guitar, like on Master Puppets and Ride the Lightning, is pretty similar. That there is no high end that is not needed. Right? Like there is not an excess of high end. That is not the case here. These guitars are very, very bright.
Yes.
Which is kind of cool, because
it's just a different approach.
A little bit of a spoiler alert. There are going to be riffs like that, technical and like weird the whole time. And that's part of why I
like this album so much.
Right. And I haven't listened to this in a very long time. And like now I'm rethinking about whether I really like this one or Master Puppets better. Because that riff in Blackened, especially the one where they take the main riff and it's like 2/3 or 3/4 of the way through the song, and then they make it weirder. They I don't know. I haven't tried to play any of this stuff or anything, so I don't really know. I'm not like a super music guy. Anyway, but they change that, and they make you can tell, oh, this is supposed to be the same riff, but it's different.
A little different.
And like I really like
I really noticed the guitar riffs underneath the solo. I really liked that. They seemed like they were a little bit more like rock and roll riffs. Like there were less complex riffs to do the solos over. That was something with Master of Puppets, the record as a whole, which when I edit these videos, I do watch them all the way through. Like I watch every single second, mainly because I want to make sure that there wasn't a swear word uttered that I need to beep out, because my goal is to never have a swear word on my channel. But I do have one video where there's a swear word in it, so if you want to go back and watch all my videos and find it and let me know,
comment,
you can do it.
Say you said bad word.
Yeah, well, I didn't say it, but there is one. Well, you did, but I beep them out.
Oh, thank you.
That's not a big deal.
I try not to swear, but it's hard for me.
That's all right. It doesn't matter. I can beep them out. But, well, I'd have to beep them out of both channels this time, I guess, because we're both recording.
Anyway, so
No,
there's
wait.
this Metallica thing. I forget where. I've read so much stuff from whatever interviews and stuff when they do it, and all the zeitgeist and everything that follows around Metallica. And there was something somewhere that said that a lot of the Metallica heavy guitar sound. I don't remember what album they were talking about. I'm sure it wasn't this one, but that they were talking about. I think it was James Hetfield that was saying like, you don't need as much distortion as you think that you do on heavy metal guitars.
Mm-hmm. I could see that.
The heaviness from Metallica records, and I can absolutely see this if you're talking about, I mean, even the Black Album, although I haven't listened to that at all, but I'm pretty sure the guitars are really heavy on that record.
Mm-hmm.
But like on Master of Puppets, even like you can tell that there's not an excessive amount of distortion.
Right. Correct.
The gain knobs are turned up very high, way higher, and that's where I think you get a lot of that brightness. I kind of find myself favoring that sound when I am recording and mixing things.
Sure.
But when I am listening to it, I do not like it as much.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Becoming aware of that in my life.
I've heard that mentioned a lot just in general metal conversations over the years. Probably conversations we've had about just like, turn the gain down just a little, you know?
Yeah.
However, it doesn't have to be up to 11 everything, every song, I don't know.
Anyway, there you go. You can put some distortion on, but this might be a little bit much.
I did not think that in listening to it, but I know for a fact that I did really like the way the guitar sounded on Master of Puppets.
That's why I wanted to bring it up.
I was going to say that if you remember, I really loved the tone of Kirk's guitar during the solos. I really liked it a lot on Master of Puppets.
Yes.
It felt very smooth to me, and I tried to articulate it and all that stuff. This sounded completely different. It did not sound like the same tone at all. But he did have several different sort of styles of guitar solo that he did on Master of Puppets. And this was a style with like the whammy bar and stuff that was less like what I was thinking of. And so I don't know if maybe later in the album we'll get a tone that's more similar to what I really liked about Master of Puppets, or if he just went away from that sound totally. So that's something I want to listen to.
And I noticed that he at least because there were several different solo sections in Blackened, that he at least changed pickups. Because there was some like differentiation in lead guitar sound, and it might have been a different amp setup or whatever. And anyway,
that's a good thing to do during solo, to just make your guitar sound a little different.
Yeah, there's some people that do that a lot.
Okay,
we can listen to an Yngwie Malmsteen record sometime if you want.
No,
that might make Patrick die.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to do that. Okay.
Unalived, as the kids say. Let's listen to "And Justice for All."
Okay. Oh my, unalived. Oh. And Justice for All. 9 minutes, 46 seconds. Okay. Clean guitar, clean electric. I was going to point out that we didn't start with the acoustic guitar, this is the first album that didn't. So, of the two we've heard. See, when I listen to this is just straight up In Flames. You know, In Flames, In Flames does this kind of stuff on every one of their albums.
These are some of my favorite parts about Metallica.
Ooh, a little reverse snare or something in there, kind of? Like a... Maybe it's just a strange reverb.
All day.
What's he gonna do? Just like that.
That's basically James Hetfield, right?
With a at the end, everything, right? Dude, the drums here. Is that a tambourine? Or some kind of a weird splash cymbal, maybe?
It might be. It kind of sounds like a tambourine now that you mention that.
Dude, the toms sound great too. It's totally dry. Spread very wide. Ooh. A lot more triplets we're getting here on the drums. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Too much highs on the kick. Ooh. Whoa. He's singing in a lower register.
Oh yeah, and this it is. A little bit gruntier.
Yeah. Harmony vocal? Dang, that was really different for him from what I've heard so far. I like that. That was going really quite a bit lower. That was reaching, like you said, more of a gruntiness almost. That was really nice. Love that. I like, it just sounds like they're having fun when they're playing, and that's so cool. Like, you don't imagine them looking grumpy when they're playing this. You imagine them walking around like, yeah, like we're having so much fun. And like, I don't know what they look like when they play, but like, you just imagine that they're like having fun on stage rather than trying to like look aggressive or whatever. And it's like, I love that. That's cool. That is cool. Justice is lost. Justice is right. Justice is gone. Pulling your strings. Justice is done. Seeking no truth. Winning is all. Fighting so grim, so true, so real. So grim, so true, so real. That's the name of an album by one of the. I own it. It's called So Grim, So True, So Real. Gotta be named after the Metallica lyrics, I'm sure. But So Grim, So True, So Real is the name of something. Ooh. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so this was recorded in stereo, or with two microphones,
That's
for
super
sure.
wide.
And it's simple, which is nice. They really do that a lot. Like, that was awesome. Children of Bodom. Also, I think I heard like a few misses in there. Something that notes there at the end that definitely didn't sound like they were like, I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, it wasn't 1000% perfect, which is cool. That's what I mean. Also, I could play it better than Kurt could. So.
Yes, indeed you can.
Dude, I love their playing with time. Oh, that's so cool. Do you think they use metronomes on any of this stuff, or it was just a feel thing?
I have no idea. I mean, no purpose to grid edit. Probably, right? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, did they record the guitars at the same time as the drums? Or the rhythm? I mean, they probably just scratch stuff out while recording the drums, I would assume.
I guess I have no idea.
There's a lot more guitar tracks happening, I feel.
Oh, there's a bajillion right now.
Yeah.
It's like orchestral.
Yes. Yeah. Lots of layering. Bass guitar.
With tone.
Yeah. Tempo change again. Like they retarded into that last part, and this was just straight switch. You had that would I would assume that would have to be with metronomes. I don't know, maybe not. I guess not. Sure they play it live like this. Sure they got a click in their ear at every second though, but not that that matters. As long as they don't use any tracks. Real metal bands don't use tracks.
Real metal bands don't use tracks.
No tracks. Especially not to like sync up their light show.
I will die on that hill.
No, you don't really think that, do you?
I do really think that.
Oh. I was being sarcastic for the record. I think if your band doesn't have keyboards and electronic program stuff in it, you're kind of a waste of a band. So, how could Nightwish exist if you weren't playing the 75-piece choir and the 125-piece orchestra behind them through the speakers? Dude, that riff, that like it's like a motif that keeps coming up, and he even did like one round of it going into the first solo too, which was neat. Like it's kind of like the transition between pieces. There, he's in that low register again. Yeah. Sometimes they just surprise me. Sometimes I'll be listening to the drums and I'm like, that's cool. Which I kind of thought Lars was going to be like people kind of laugh at Lars, like as being like a joke kind of, I think. I don't know why I thought that maybe, but like, I don't think so at all. I think everything he's doing is really cool. I like it when drummers play very straightforward things, though, a lot of the time, and he does play more straightforward. That was great.
No fade out.
I have no complaints. With that.
No,
that
awesome.
was great.
And like
that did not feel like 9 minutes and 45 seconds.
I was just going to bring that up because they do so many different riffs at the beginning. This is one of the many reasons.
Oh, that's true. The intro was really long.
It was 2 minutes until the main riff and the singing starts.
Dude, that's crazy. Because it was just fun to listen to it at the beginning. It's like, ooh, what are they going to do next?
That's what, and somebody did comment that on if you guys do it in Justice for All video, you should talk about that. But it's like impossible not to talk about the songwriting on this because like it is super weird. But like, I just like stuff like that. Like that's the kind of stuff that I listen to.
Sure.
But like, I really appreciate that skill musically. That like, here is a metal band with 2 guitars, bass, drums, and vocals that played something that was called one song for 9 minutes and 45 seconds, and it was awesome the whole time.
Yeah, for sure. Like I can't believe that did not feel like it was that long of a song. Usually, like a 9-minute long song, it makes you feel like. Sometimes you could even be like tired at the end of a really long song like that, depending on what it is. And like, yeah.
The intent is to not pay attention to it. Because I think that there are songs like that where it's just like, it's the same thing and it's kind of nice.
Repetitive
or like,
to the point of like, and then they switch it up or something.
There's like electronic music like that, right?
Yeah, that lulls you into a sense and then it's all about the build and then the release and stuff. But for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
Or something that's going to be played at a club that the purpose is to just dance to, you know. And all electronic music is supposed to have 1 minute of very simple just beats at the beginning so DJs can transition into the next song. So like for sure.
Yeah, anyway.
But I was trying to listen to the guitars a little bit more there in the tone because I wasn't paying attention to it as much in the first song. I really liked it, the tone. I think that I do think that there's more of like a crispy high end to it, but that to me seems way more like a mix thing and less like a guitar tone thing. But I am not a guitar person, and I want to bring that up specifically to say like, I wish that I could do the solos justice because I know people really, no pun intended, like, no, seriously, no pun intended, but like, in the comments, a lot of people really want me to like appreciate the solos, and like I wish that I had the. Oh shoot, we forgot to do our pop.
I know.
Dang it, I'm thirsty. I'm gonna go. We'll do that in a second. But I really, I don't know I don't know why a guitar solo is good, other than it's pathetic, and I hate it when people do this. Like I always say, if you can't articulate your opinion is not justified, and that's wrong. It's being very stupid. But like, I just like the solos for a certain reason, and it's hard for me to articulate. But like, I wish I could say like, oh, that was a reference to whatever, Joe Satriani or some guitar player, Yngwie Malmsteen or whatever. Like, I wish I knew enough about guitar playing to appreciate this in relation to other very well-respected guitar players. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I cannot do that. Like, I have the only guitar solos I know are in the bands that I like that do guitar solos, which is like Children of Bodom, Scar Symmetry, some In Flames, Soilwork, stuff like that. And like those guitar solos are like an eighth the length of these guitar solos. Usually it's just one section. Sometimes they're pretty complex. Like all Scar Symmetry guitar solos is just sweeping up and down the guitar as fast as a human being could possibly do it for like 8 measures. And that's pretty much all it is. And that's fine. That's what it is. That's why I like earlier Scar Symmetry more than later Scar Symmetry, because I like the more like melodicness nature to like the guitar solos and stuff when I'm talking just guitar solos. But like, I don't have a lot of like reference for like what a long guitar solo should sound like. Like, to me, a guitar solo is usually like a much shorter thing. And so to me, it sounds like when we get to a guitar solo section that it's actually more like 3 guitar solos just like put together in one, because he'll play for like 8 bars and then they change the riff and then he plays something that sounds completely different for another 8 bars. And then they do it again for like another 8 bars or whatever, you know, regardless of. And so like, to me, that's more like progressive metal stuff, and rather than just like, here's a guitar solo section. I understand that it is like the whole solo section, and that's the whole point of it. And switching up the riff and changing the style of the guitar solo is to help make it be less, like, more interesting and stuff. I don't know if, like, from a songwriting perspective, I really understand the need for that. Like, I don't necessarily think that, like, you could chop that guitar solo 2/3 of it out and it'd be just as cool to me. Like, because I'm not here like drooling over the complexity of what he's playing. Like, to me, it's just like, okay, here's the part where the guitar gets to sing for a while and be the lead instrument.
You're overthinking it. It's just music.
I am for sure.
It's cool.
No, for sure. And I'm just saying, like, these are just my thoughts on it as I'm listening. Like, I don't want him to erase any of the song because I don't think the song was too long. I just said that. Like, I think it was great, but. And maybe that was a bad example because that song is longer, so they had more of a time. They had more bars they could fit into a guitar solo. But like, it is something I thought of. Like this like it doesn't need to necessarily be that long. I don't know.
But it's metal. It's not.
Yes. No, I know.
Like if it was. I think it's just because it sounds cool.
Yeah.
And you want to play cool riffs, usually
right,
you have
like
some sort of a lead instrument
right.
over it. And a lot of the times it's a vocal, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But like, James Hetfield has been quoted many times, you know, doing self-deprecating things about his singing, which of course there's no problem with, you know, like he's sold more records with his voice than like anybody else ever. So
right.
like, who cares?
Right.
But, like, I don't know. That's how I think about metal music. Like, I'm not listening to it for, I mean, I don't, probably goes all hand in hand, but I'm not listening to it because I want to hear an excellent vocal performance.
Right.
And
no,
like,
for
that's
sure.
not, and like, even with this, like, I do know the words to Metallica songs because I've been trying not to mouth along, but it's a little bit hard for me. I know the words, but I do not think about them at all. And like, that's something else I kind of like about a lot of the metal that I listen to is that I like clever lyrics in music. I like think that that's interesting. I like clever more than like emotional. I know that everybody has their opinions about that.
Sure.
I can articulate mine, so mine is valid. But like there's something just about the hearing the sound of a human voice, which is why Patrick listens to music that's in languages that he doesn't speak and still enjoys it, because there's something about that. But like,
that's
you have to make, you're going to have cool riffs. You can't just, although Metallica in some songs does play the same riff for a long time and it's awesome, but like most of the time you play a cool riff, you have to have something over top of it.
Right.
It's either vocal or it's a guitar solo
right.
in this kind of metal. And so like, it's cool.
Yeah.
I like Kirk Hammett more now after we've been doing these videos than I did before.
Okay. And I don't know. I know that was a weird thing for me to say, that I thought it was maybe too long or something, but like, I don't know. I'm just kind of trying to wrap my head around certain things. Mostly, like I said, I'm disappointed that I can't like, I don't understand it in the way that I think people want me to, because I just don't have that knowledge.
Nah, you're overthinking it, because like
You know.
because like with that guitar solo section, which is quite long, and it's in a quite long song.
Correct. That's true.
But like, now that you brought up the songwriting thing, like, because that solo section is so long, it lets you go so far away from where the verse and chorus is.
So that when it comes back.
So then when it like, because the time separation, and then it comes back to that last verse and chorus, and you're like, oh yeah,
And
we're
also
still
the
in
time
this
shift.
song.
The time shift too. You're right. Yeah, 100%.
So there it is.
Yeah.
There's justification for long ass
No, you're
guitar
right.
solos.
You're
and the
absolutely
songwriting
right. You're absolutely right.
perspective.
And I don't want to say that I don't like long guitar solos and stuff. I do.
But so here's my really weird question. So why isn't it normalized? Maybe, I'm sure that somebody will give us an example of somebody that actually does this. But because of that same thing, right? That like that long guitar solo section, like you go so far away from the main parts of the song, and then you come back and it's more impactful in a way when it comes back. So like, this record is all Metallica's music. Or whatever band that writes original albums and like writes music as an album, right? Which is becoming more rare now, and that's fine, whatever, who cares? But if you're doing that within a record, and that's a cool idea, right? To go really far away from the main parts of something, or like especially a really catchy chorus, to go super far away from it musically and in time, and then come back to it. So why isn't it like a more normal thing that like you just throw the chorus from the third song into the middle of the eighth song somewhere?
That's a good question.
Right?
I literally don't know. That's so funny you say that too, because I was going to ask about, and maybe we'll get to this later, but I was going to ask about Metallica like referencing themselves and past work and stuff in songs.
Oh, okay.
Like if they do a riff that sounds like specifically like another riff, like I'm sure they probably did it on purpose as like a reference, or maybe they're so old now they forgot about it. I don't know, but like, that's a good question. Why don't
Because they do it in movies.
classical music all the time?
That happens all the time in movies, right? Like the little kid when they're 4 years old makes some joke at the beginning of the movie, and then like 2/3 the way in the climax when somebody's about to die, they make the same joke, and you're like, oh god, that happened 90 minutes ago.
Not even a more specific example, like when you watch the Harry Potter movies, how many times does the little tinkly Harry Potter thing happen throughout all 8 movies? It's a theme.
Oh, the musical theme.
Yeah, the musical theme. I know what you meant.
Like
You mean like a specific like reference.
Yeah.
But a musical theme and variations is super common with classical music,
but still not over like the course of a 90-minute piece.
Yes.
Like, really?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I don't.
Yeah, usually the outro is coming, or usually the last movement of a song references the first movement, and the middle movement is an entire. Usually the first movement is less. The climax, the last movement is the most bombastic and puts together everything you've heard in the song so far.
Right.
The middle movements are usually much slower and less dynamic, and a space for soloing. And then the first movement is an introduction to each of the different themes that you're going to hear throughout the whole thing. And I do not enjoy classical music like recreationally. I think it's perfect for movies and stuff. I love that kind of thing. But I would not sit and listen to classical music recreationally or movie scores at all. Especially movie scores, because most movie scores are just like songs are like 40 seconds to 2 minutes long, and I don't have time for that. But like, yeah, but I do all the stuff I do know about classical music is because at the recording studio that I used to work at, we would go record the Omaha Symphony perform, and so I would sit and focus very intensely on sometimes pieces that were over an hour long. And usually that was 2 halves of a show. So there was, maybe 3 pieces that were 20 minutes each the first half, and then an hour-long piece the second half of the performance after the intermission. So like, and we did this like every week, every Friday for a large chunk of the year, all 7 years that I worked there. So I got exposed to a lot of classical music things for the first time working there, and it was really great. But anyway, we don't need to talk about classical music, but definitely there is influence and stuff with that here. You can have that within a 9-minute song. It's much easier to do that, especially because you can go, like you said, I talk about that kind of stuff all the time on my channel, and song structuring is so important to me, and that's why I always say it. In my opinion, the song should always go back to the chorus before the song finishes, because it feels like you're coming back home and you feel much more satisfied when it's over, unless the artist's intent is to leave you either specifically feeling like you want more, which I hate. I personally don't like that, but I understand that that's a really, really easy thing to do when you're writing music, or also like they want to make it feel like you're moving on rather than coming back. And so like I understand that and I get that. But I always talk about how, like, I always use Nightwish as my example because Nightwish has 10-minute long songs where the first 3 minutes of the song are structured like a pop song minus the third chorus, and then there's 7 minutes, and then the last 2 minutes is coming back to what the chorus, right? And that's basically what we did here.
It is.
Essentially. And so, yeah, it's the exact same thing. You're exactly right. The farther you get away from home base, the more joyful it feels when you come back. One thing I want to mention before we get our beverages, because I'm parched, is both songs I've noticed, I feel had maybe a little bit more like accessible choruses. Like we talked about, Master of Puppets didn't really have any of those. They had the anti-choruses. I do think that this and Justice for All had a little bit more of an anti-chorus than
that
Blackening.
guitar riff in the middle kind of... Yeah, Blackened.
Blackened had a chorus that I felt like you could shout or whatever if you're at the show, but it still wasn't stereotypical at all.
No, but it was closer.
It was closer, but it wasn't.
But in Justice for All, like that guitar riff in the middle, like that does not belong in an anthemic chorus.
No.
But it's awesome.
Yeah, 100%. I really like the tempo shift in there too. I want to point that out again. Okay, so one thing we got to do real quick here. And hopefully it's not frozen because it's been an hour since we started recording. So look right here on the table. Be right back. Okay, so I'm back and Pop's probably frozen. We'll see if we can... Oh, no, we're good.
So good.
We're good. No!
Oh, you should have warmed yours up in your hand like I did.
My hands weren't down here.
Mine worked out perfectly, more or less.
I might have to wait for mine. Now, also, I found out that apparently while we've been recording, someone came by our house and dropped off goose jerky.
Goose jerky.
Would you like to try some goose jerky?
I would like to try some goose jerky.
Apparently, it's really good.
Here's go.
It's very good. Okay. All right. And Justice for All is over, and we are now on to Eye of the Beholder. Do you have a song called Eye of the Beholder? Eye of the... Wait, don't tell me. Eye of the Healer? Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's from the first album, too. Right?
Boy.
Yeah, I think so. Because it was after one of my favorite songs you guys ever did, Beast Slayer. It was either the song after or the song before.
Yeah. Boy, that... Yeah. Anyway.
All right.
Eye of the Beholder.
Eye of the Beholder.
You don't have a fade-in board. Because we'd be at 2.
I don't know what that means. A fade-in board. Oh. You know, that sucks. Fade-ins suck just about as much as fade-outs. This is badass, though. How loud can it get? Ooh, didn't expect that to go there. Those are some interesting notes.
Lots of reverb on the snare, too, here.
Yep. I want a guitar solo now. You know? They don't do that, though. They're more complex and technical at the beginning of their songs, usually. A little bit more of that, like, waterfall-y kind of stuff that Lars does, that type of thing.
Do you see what I see? Truth is an offense. Use silence for your confidence. Do you hear what I hear? Doors are slamming shut.
How cool is that riff, though? It's so simple.
Well, is it, though? Because the accents are all in weird spots.
That's true. That's the kind of thing that I would have a hard time knowing, you know? Shout out to the flanging chorusing effect.
Super stereo.
Total feel change. I feel like the guitars are almost a little louder this song. And and they use the space in between notes so well. Like they use silence and stuff and stops so well. Oh. That was surprising. I love it though.
Do you fear what I fear? Living properly. Truth to you or lies to me? Do you choose what I choose? Or alternatives?
So do you think they had a one lead vocal take and then a second vocal take, and the second vocal take, the overdub is the one that's got the effects on it?
Do you need what I need? Boundaries overthrown. Look inside the reaches of.
Is there any dry?
I think so.
But it's like here, it's like a little bit left.
I don't think it's a secondary track or overdub. I think it's the actual.
Doesn't matter what you see or do it what you read. You can do it your own way. If it's done just how I say. Independence limited. Freedom of choice is made for you, my friend. Freedom of speech is words.
That's so interesting.
Freedom with their exception.
Huh. Oh god, that was cool.
Right? It's basically the same riff, but it's not. And then
Wow. Kind of like behind everything a little bit.
super wide too, right?
Yes.
It's all stereo. There's no mono information.
Right. Oh. A lot of reverb. But no reverb on that thing. They totally sucked the reverb out of it when they did that. Now, at the beginning there, when he started that solo, he was using his whammy bar.
Yeah.
Now, this sounds familiar to me.
We just heard it.
No, I know that, but I mean like in a previous song. That reminds me of something I was going to ask you. Remind me to ask you when we're done with this. See, now there I felt like the solo was almost too short in this song. To totally contradict everything I said. I almost wish they would repeat some of the riffs a few more times through, you know, because it's like, that's so cool, but they only do it twice. Oh, that's cool. There's this attitude that they have that's so cool. Like, So what I was going to say, I thought, since we recorded Master of Puppets, which we recorded last Monday, today is a Tuesday, I realized that there was a whole nother Metallica song that I am familiar with. And I thought it was going to be on this album because we haven't heard it yet. And I know it's not on Black Album, and I know it's not after that. So it must be off of their first album. And so now I'm like, what? This is one of my favorite Metallica songs called Seek and Destroy.
Oh, yeah.
What the heck? That song's great.
Yeah, it is.
search it, seek and destroy. And I can even think of the riff in that song, but the reason I know that is because it was on. I remember last time, or when we were recording, I think Master of Puppets, I mentioned something about Megadeth, and I said that they had a song on this WCW soundtrack that I bought back in the day, and it's that one that's really cool and starts with that like it's really cool. On that same album, there is a live version of Metallica playing "Seek and Destroy." And it was a song that was used by one of the wrestlers at a certain point for a little while. WCW was insane. And like I said, I think I told you before in one of the videos that they would just use like real songs. And WCW had so much money and they blew it on so many stupid things that they would pay for Metallica, whatever. But they used "Seek and Destroy" as a song at one point, and I really liked that song a lot. Actually, I don't know what it sounds like on the album, but this live version on this disc that I have on this WCW, I think it's WCW Mayhem it was called. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty cool. Yeah. And I haven't listened to it for many, many, many years, and I think the song's pretty long, and I think that, it sounds pretty awesome on there. So I was like, when we first loaded these tracks in here, I was like, where's "Seek and Destroy"? So I've been wanting to hear it this whole time, whether I knew it or not. And so now I'm like, well, dang, I'll have to go back and listen to Kill 'Em All at some point. But yeah, so "Seek and Destroy." There's something else I knew about Metallica. Who knew?
Anyway.
Not me.
Wow.
I really like that song.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, we can just go right to the next one if you're good.
Let's do it.
All right. Oh, this is one. Okay, yeah. So this is the one I know, and probably your least favorite one. No?
I don't know.
Okay, well, let's listen to it, and I'll pay attention to it, and we'll see. I do know for a fact I have seen several reaction channels do this, and like legit people cried during this song. Spoiler, I'm not going to cry during any of these Metallica
This is
songs.
a no crying channel.
Oh, no, I'll cry on stuff eventually. I haven't got to anything yet.
Well, I'm here. I'll leave.
No tracks, no backing tracks, and no crying.
That's basically my rules of life. No backing tracks and no crying.
Okay, so here is Metallica 1. I was going to say, these are the same sound effects that the album started with, but I clicked the wrong song when we started the first one. So that's Lars yelling.
One
or not
voice
Lars.
Like James.
James, yeah. This just reminds me of something else that it probably isn't supposed to, like some dumb Green Day song or something. I don't know. That sounds like garbage. No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't sound like garbage. It sounds a little spanky. The drums are very loud. Like, I just mean for what's happening. Lars should be playing softly, but I don't feel like so far I've ever heard him playing softly.
Yeah.
But that's the same thing I said with the guitars. Every time they play a guitar part, they're just smacking it as hard as possible.
I can't remember anything. Can't tell if this is true or dream. Deep down inside, I feel the scream. This terrible silence stops in there. Now that the war is through with me, I'm waking up. I can't.
Double tracked, and then a little harmony part there.
Not much left of me. Nothing is real but pain.
I think double tracked the whole time.
Hold my breath as I wish for death. Oh, please, God, wake me.
Whoa, is that a 12 string?
No?
That's very present.
Back in the room, it's much too real.
I'm not gonna lie. I do not like anything about this, really. It's cringy. Like, it's bad. My breath is a breath. Please God help me. Or whatever. Like I know this song. So, like...
I think the riff is really cool.
I mean, it's. I like how it started out very simple, and they added to it.
I think it really brings to attention how thin the guitars are.
Yes.
And this song really, like, makes
And
that.
these acoustic guitars sound, like, awesome, but they're, like, so... Like, they're... Oh, my God, that's
Most
awesome.
of it's electric guitar. Not what's going on now.
Right. Like, this is cool.
Yeah, the music part is awesome.
I really like the acoustic guitar in there. That's really nice. And those tasty little things, completely dry. Complete dry. But then and then it does this, and it's like, oh.
The compression is weird, too.
Yeah.
Because it's so loud and open when it's not distorted, and then it goes...
Yeah, it does feel like it gets sucked in a little. This is nice. Like it got a little bigger there.
The song gets better. I mean...
Unnecessary there. Oh wait, this is all that I see. Right part. Okay, so this
They
is...
let you know for a long time.
That's really cool, actually, yeah. Okay, I take it back. Ah, that's cool.
Those are not quantized at all. I mean, of course they're not, but...
It's almost like we had to suffer through all that to get to this, you know? Like, this wouldn't be as cool as it is if we didn't have what it came before.
But the guitar playing is so cool. But yes, that is what makes this part so cool. Huge, so long reverb.
I bet when they wrote that, they were like, yeah, that's cool. And his vocal part is so cool there, too. Oh.
All the reverb goes away when it does that snare fill thing.
Yep. Oh. All the steps down. Oh, I love that. I like the bluesiness. Oh my God. Oh my God, then this. Now I forget, do they go back to the chorus another time or not, though? I'm curious. This is their big single off the album?
I don't know if that was when it came out, but I mean, definitely now. This is a song that everybody knows.
So I'm
right?
curious if this one's going to fade out then, since it's the big single. Yeah, it ain't going back to the chorus. That's fine. It just feels so loud to me. Maybe it's because the first half was quiet intentionally. Do you ever wish that Metallica had a different vocalist?
No.
Because some of that stuff is so cool, and if there was someone just screaming their lungs out over the top of it, it'd be so cool. You know what I mean? Like,
But there's tons of stuff like that.
no, I know. That's a crappy thing to say, probably, but just, I don't know. I just was listening to it, and I was like, man, some of these riffs are just so cool, and if they just repeated them a bunch and then had someone scream over them, it'd be a really cool song.
But that's, I never had, I mean, obviously, like, that's the thing about one, is that it's all slow and
and then it
calm,
changes.
and then and like in the most like brutal, like punch you in the face kind of way. But
And
what
I'm
I
sure
hadn't thought about before,
represents something.
if you started the song like that, it would suck.
Yeah,
It would super suck.
yeah.
You'd just be like,
Yeah, it wouldn't be special at all.
no. And I don't think that the beginning of One sucks. One is not my favorite Metallica song.
I mean, I was being a little bit.
A little, but like I get what you mean. Like the vocals are a little cringy, but like, what else are you gonna do?
I know, and the other thing that it makes me think of sometimes, which it's funny to mention this in regards to Metallica because they're like the exact opposite of this, but like so many times I have heard a heavy band do something soft and they just cannot commit to it. You can just tell they feel self-conscious about the fact that they're not doing something that's like super heavy, which I know that's silly to say regarding Metallica because they do all sorts of cool stuff, and then obviously they did what they did later in their career. But like so many times I hear a metal band do something that like a ballad, and it's just so half-heartedly a ballad. And I'm not saying you need to get rid of the guitars and play piano instead, but like, if you're going to have a slow, beautiful song, make it a slow, beautiful song. Don't force your heavy elements into it because you are a heavy band. And that's kind of how the chorus of this makes me feel. Like they're trying to be aggressive during the chorus, and it just doesn't work. And when I say that, I mean oh, my breath is icy, my way, whatever the words are. And then the guitars are just, they're not distorted before that. It's nice and pretty. And I'm not saying you can't have the distort. I mean, that's how songs work. But like, I don't know what they could have done any different. Obviously, they did it this way, and that's fine. But like, I don't know. That was one thing I specifically thought of there. I was like, this feels like they couldn't commit to making the song be what I felt they were trying to do with it. And so they had the chorus be what it was. And you mentioned the compression and stuff, and the fact that when the chorus was in there, the song felt the smallest, which is a compression thing. It's a mixing thing. That's, not a songwriting thing necessarily. But like, also it's a little different too, because almost every band that I listen to, the singer does lots of overdub tracks and just lots of layering of vocals. And he doesn't do that. And so I have to try to keep that in mind when I'm listening, because like for me, choruses are when the gang vocals come in, the shout vocals, the harmony vocals, the layers, the whisper tracks, you name it. Everything comes in, and the chorus is always supposed to feel bigger, unless it's like an intentional thing where the chorus is where everything comes down. But like, I don't know, I listen to this and there's elements missing from it that would make me truly love it, but I shouldn't expect those things because there's nothing that they've done in their catalog to like make me think that should be there. But I do think that Black Album is much more that, Black Album is much more harmonies and all sorts of other things happening, including strings and all sorts of other things. I think. I haven't listened to it for a long time.
I know, I'm trying to think about it specifically. But like, I mean, I might be speaking a little bit broadly here, but like, I think that one of the things that you're experiencing, Patrick, is that this is very much not pop songwriting. It's not supposed to be.
No, you're right.
I don't think that, like, I mean, I like that too.
Yeah.
But it's not the only thing.
No, for sure. No, I know. For sure, 100%.
Boy, I lost my train of thought.
No,
Let's listen to the next one.
Okay.
Let's.
Okay. This is The Shortest Straw.
The reverb on stuff changes all the time on this record.
Sounds fantastic.
It does sound great.
Oh, I love that kick pattern there with the snare. Oh, yeah. Their riffs, the way that they can be groovy for just short periods of time, like a little burst of groove, you know, is so cool. That's, to me, when I relate to it the most with the stuff that I like. Like, I feel like I like groovy stuff a lot more than the technical stuff. And so, like, when they're doing the technical stuff, I'm like, this is really cool. But then all of a sudden, they're just like, I'm like, oh yeah. You know? Not to say that I don't appreciate all the cool riffs and technical stuff.
Suspicion is your name. Your honesty to blame. With dignity to shame. It's not her.
Yeah.
Modern day.
This might be my favorite song from this record. God, I like it all so much, but I really like this one.
He's really attacking those last words in the sentence every time. Not every time, but. Man, this just sounds good.
It does. It sounds great.
The drum pattern is completely different than what we've had so far. Like a gallopy weird thing in there. Maybe not so much here, but yeah, still here. It's much more of like a loose feel, but the riff is straightforward. There's no high notes, it's just chug. Yeah. Whoa. I definitely think this is, we'll see what happens, but this has got to be my favorite song on the album. We'll see.
That riff is just
Whoa,
so
that
cool.
splash cymbal there.
The accusations fly, discrimination why you're in a self to die. It's too late. Doubt sunk itself in you. It's neither talents through. Your living gets you too. Deluded. A mass hysteria.
Ooh, key change.
Reveal dementia. Reveal. Secretly. Silently.
Yeah. Dude, that's so cool. This song feels a lot more straightforward, I would say. Ooh, that was cool. I like that. Da-da-da-da-da-da. I wonder if there's a Metallica lyrics generator online, like an online generator, where you can just type in a general topic and it'll give you like Metallica lyrics generator. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm sure that's a thing. Yeah, that's cool. It sounded like the wide vocals were louder than the lead vocal, but I almost wonder if that's like a mastering thing. This is cool. I love that double bass too.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with anything we've heard so far, right? Now it does.
He likes to do that kind of stuff, huh? This is great. Yeah. That was awesome. That whole thing was awesome. I was not listening to anything but the solo, and it kept me engaged the entire time.
For sure.
Yeah. I think it's just that the main riff of the song is simpler. So simple, but like, oh my gosh, what an impact. Oh, that's right. It's Metallica. I forgot.
That's what makes this album so good.
I can see the time, for God's sake. How long do they need to Okay, yes, that might be my favorite Metallica song I've heard so far on this stuff, because that was awesome. But I think it's just because it was more straightforward. Like, am I wrong in saying that? Like, the riff just felt chunky and heavy the whole time under the verse, and then it was chunky and heavy, but like a somewhat different rhythmically during the chorus. Like,
Yeah.
I loved that. I thought it was great. I loved the guitar solo section. I loved. I mean, honestly,
that thing that happens like in the wherever it happens when the rhythm guitars actually put those big pauses in when they're just playing those chord stabs.
Okay.
That's like the first time that we've heard anything like that, I think, on any of the Metallica stuff that we listen to, because the rhythm guitars just stop completely.
I'm not sure I know which part you mean.
Oh, I thought that we were going to talk about that because I thought that you looked like you were.
I don't remember that part.
They just stop. They just
Oh,
play
and then
two
it goes
chords.
"Rrrp," that thing. No.
Doesn't matter.
Well, now I want to know. I wish we could know. Would you want to go through and find it?
Only if you're going to edit it.
I can edit it. I'm gonna go through and find it.
Okay, go. There.
Yes, you're right.
I think that's the first time in 3 records that we've heard the rhythm guitar stop.
You're right. I think you're right. That's a great point.
Because I mean, like, that's like a super common thing to do.
Oh yeah, for
But
sure.
like, and then I haven't thought about that in so long. I'm like, wow, that's different.
Yeah, no, it is. You're right. I didn't even notice it. You're totally right. I didn't even notice that. Gosh, that was great.
That's what. Yeah.
Should we just go into Harvester of Sorrow?
Harvester of Sorrow. Yeah.
Now this one sounds like I don't know it, but like there are certain Metallica song titles, I guess, that I'm like, oh, maybe people have mentioned that. So Harvest of Sorrow, maybe one sound that kind of familiar to me. I don't know. Harvester of Sorrow. No, both these songs just getting up and going right away. Cymbal swell. Lars expanding the repertoire.
I know, that's kind of funny too. That's not a super metal
More
thing to do, right?
Yeah, no, it totally isn't. Yes, that's cool. Because that was not a cymbal swell. I don't know what the hell that was.
Some reversey thing.
What is that?
Is that just pitch down vocals? Might be.
Probably a bass. Okay. I keep waiting for it to, but they ain't gonna do that, are they? They rarely do what's expected, I guess, which is cool.
That's sort of the point of this record, right? Is to.
And why do you expect that kind of thing? Because Metallica did this and bands copied them in the last 30 years, you know? This album is way slower overall. Way slower. And his vocals have more of like a, like it's cool, like there's more of like a rhythm to, like a, they're less complex, I guess, rhythmically. So metal, anger, misery, you'll suffer unto me. Like that's what I mean about the Metallica lyric generator. Oh. I would love to hear a band cover an entire Metallica album. but do it in their, like, not just doing the songs one for one exactly the way they do it. Like, what would a different band doing these songs sound like? I know there's a lot of Metallica, there's even like several Metallica tribute albums. So I'm sure there's a lot of these songs have been covered. I just hate it when a band does a cover song and it sounds identical to the original. It's like, what was the point of that? I get it if you're like a garage band and you're trying to play like at a bar and you want to play Don't Stop Believin', you want it to sound like it so everyone can sing along. But that ain't for me. This feels way heavier to me than Master of Puppets. The overall mix, I mean.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe that's just because it's slower.
The music is heavier.
Yeah, it's slower. There hasn't really been much thrashy stuff at all, really, right?
Blackened's pretty thrashy.
Blackened was the only song I was gonna say. You know, they start the album off with the fast one every album. Usually the fastest song on the album is the first track.
Okay.
Ooh, got a weird delay off to the side. Yeah, a delay. Very cool.
Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep.
Or if you were Godsmack, voodoo, 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 voodoo. Whoa, was that like a low harmony part? That was really cool. That was very different.
For sure. It's a cool little stop transition thing.
Yeah.
That's what makes this record so cool. There's tons of that stuff all over the place.
Yo, for sure. What was that? Fantasy.
So, yeah.
Infanticide.
Maybe that's what it is.
I like that background-y stuff. That's cool. It gives it's like an ethereal thing. Like a ghosty feeling, you know?
Yeah.
Ooh. You do not have the clean vocal in there with the riffs and stuff very often. You know, usually...
The clean guitar.
The clean guitar, yeah.
Yeah, that's from the beginning, though.
I know, yeah. So that's really cool. Like, they couldn't duplicate this live. So... Ooh, that's cool. Just cut it out. That's cool. All right, we'll just go right on.
Right into it.
The Frayed Ends of Sanity. I'm enjoying it, so we'll just keep going. Oh. Okay, now we've entered Guar territory. Lordy. Or pirate metal. I don't care though. This is badass.
It's interesting though because that's like everything else you can tell when it's James and like that doesn't sound anything like James Hetfield at all.
No, not really, huh? Whoa, that low, holy, that was an
That probably wasn't
effect
on
off
the
of the
original
keyboard.
record. Yeah.
Double time hi-hat hits. Now to
on all those dissonant parts of the chord, like those aren't power chords, right? Like
yeah,
like that tonal center,
yeah, yep.
or the extensions change, or
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Lyrics are just the dumbest thing.
well,
I don't care. It doesn't
they
bother me.
don't
It's just like
matter.
funny. It's funny more than anything. Like we could write a Metallica song after we're done with this, and it, you know, just shout out random crap that sort of sounds somewhat evil and maybe a little bit religious every now and then.
Growing conspiracy, everyone's after me. Radiant of sanity, hear them calling me.
We should listen to one song off of Master of Puppets after this, just to see, like, compare and contrast them. Because I really like the way Master of Puppets sounded like, but I really am loving this a lot.
That makes sense. That fits.
Would be more for me, yeah. I just mean tonally, though.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I like the songwriting more on this, too, but...
Just question wonder. Waves of fear, they pull me under.
Yeah, there's all your.
I can't do that very
vocals.
loud. Yeah, I can't do that. That's very stereotypical. Can't do it. My voice is too weak.
Old habits reappear.
A lot more reverb on his lead vocal here, too. And it's double tracked.
Growing conspiracy,
I think it's been like this the whole time.
everyone's after me. Radiant of sanity, hear them calling me.
Whoa, that's cool. I love low guitar stuff like that. Oh man, yeah. Is that just in the riff? No. That's an over. Key change. Another key change, or they're just going up with some weird scale thing. Oop. Dude, those high harmonies. Oh, that's cool. Whoa. Dude, I've never heard a band do anything like that. That is a really cool, unique, like, riff thing. Oh my god, that's awesome. Love that, love the bending. Ooh. I can just see his hand moving, and it's hard for me to picture that stuff, but you can just... Ooh, that was cool. At the end there. Little harmony part in there. Dude, that was awesome, too.
Oh, for sure.
Has someone edited a Metallica album so that it just goes right from one solo to the next solo? So it's just like a constant, like, 30 minutes of it, or 20 minutes of just... Literally just, you know, one riff, one song to the next, just like guitar solos all the way. Like,
I'm sure somebody has.
wouldn't that be interesting to hear if it would just sound like the exact same thing repeated a whole bunch of times? And I know it's like cliche to think about like da-da-da, or whatever, but it's like, whatever. It's awesome. This is so cool. That riff thing they did there when I was freaking out, that's my favorite guitar riff they've done, I think. I mean, maybe not like most enjoyable, but like that was like, I don't know if I've ever heard a band do that, ever. With that that rhythm or that whatever it was. That's inserting the triplet in that part of the riff or whatever, like, I've never heard that before. And I so appreciate them coming back to the vocals. They did that in Master of Puppets too. Do you like Meshuggah? I like there's that one splash symbol every once in a blue moon. You get that splash symbol.
Fighting the fear of fear, growing conspiracy. Myself is after me. Frayed hands of sanity. Hear them calling. Frayed hands of sanity.
It's kind of cool. It's like catchy.
It is.
It should be banned from. You can never laugh in a song.
I love it.
I mean, I do it too, and I've done it in like 4 songs. Because I do something doesn't mean it's good. God, that snare drum. Using the snare to accent the guitar part is just so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and everything a little bit more open now. That's my second favorite song on the album. That's cool. We got to stop after that just to... That was really great. I loved that. When we were about a third of the way through, I started to feel like, this one might feel a little long compared to the 9-minute song we heard earlier.
But then it goes, because it almost is before it goes into the instrumental part in the middle.
Exactly. And I loved that part.
Yeah.
You know, freaked out over that riff, which there's not many like guitar riffs, I don't think, that could make me like, I just was like, my mind was blown a little bit there at that. And I can't really articulate why. Like I said, I think it was because they had the like roll part of the riff, the like triplet or whatever it is, in like a different place than it would be in a riff. Like, I don't know, but that was really cool. I absolutely loved that, and they did it enough times that I was satisfied with it too. They didn't just do it for 2 measures and then use it as a transition thing. Like, they did it enough that I liked it. I was listening really hard, and then they went from there into the solo, which I thought was really good. And the solo I liked a lot because I feel like he transitioned from one part of the solo to the next part of the solo rather than just like stopping and now everything changes and it's like a whole different thing. That was what they did on And Justice for All. You know, when I was saying it felt a little longer, maybe that's why I felt that way, because they were doing a solo and then it stopped and it was like like you could take that section out and just like move it around. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
You know, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but like this, you know, it was like he was transitioning guitar parts into the next part of the solo, and I really like that. And I've told you every time we ever recorded a guitar solo, I was like, you should do something lower on the neck. I would tell you that like every time.
It's hard to mix.
Oh, I'm sure. No, for sure. But that low part in this song,
It is cool.
where the guitar was just doing that low the thing when the riff was just going, like, that was really cool. I feel like there was a lot of unique, cool stuff in that. That I noticed, at least.
Oh, for sure. And if you would have asked me before we did this now, because again, like I said, I probably have never listened to this record on headphones before.
Mm-hmm.
I've listened to this record a lot. I haven't listened to it in a long time. But I would have not told you that you were going to hear like the kitchen sink of mix tricks, because there's way more of that than I thought that there was going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, with the and it's not because I forget, one of the ones, there was some, it was probably in Ride the Lightning. There was a couple things that were like a little bit campy, like guitar stuff. And like, sometimes that's cool.
Yeah, it can be.
But like with all the stuff that's happening with all the time-based effects changing all the time, there was like those sort of anti-background vocals that were in one of the parts.
Yeah.
I'm not even thinking about all of the different things that can happen, all the reverse stuff, all the different ways.
The flanging effect on that one song in the verse.
And you can tell, like, in the parts where they think that, or this is how my mind works, it's like, oh, this is not really a guitar solo, it's a guitar part that goes over the riff, so it's wide, it's no mono energy, and then like, oh, this is actually the part where Kirk's gonna rip, and it comes right back into the center, and it's drier.
But it feels all totally natural.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and the parts that it doesn't, because I think there are parts
probably
that
intentional.
And probably intentional. And I do like that songwriting thing. Like, I do like that about in metal music, where, like you were saying before, that like it sounds like this part just came out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. It's like we just stopped at the end of one measure and then just completely do a completely different thing.
Right.
I really like that. That's the part that I thought you were going to have I thought that you were going to like this one the least. I know we're not done yet,
Yeah.
but I thought that you were not going to be able to handle this.
Oh, that's interesting. Because so far, I would say this, I like this way more than that.
And I didn't like listen to it and be like, "This is the part that Patrick's going
Right.
to whine about." But like,
and you know, I don't dislike that so much as it just is jarring sometimes. And if they do it too much,
yeah,
like I feel like when they've done that, it's been like, okay, here's like a 4-minute stretch where we're gonna do that like 4 times, you know. But that's like the point of that section of the song, and I get that. But maybe it just was a little too much for me. I don't know. Like I did say when we started Ride the Lightning, I myself personally have been trying to get into more progressive music a little bit lately, and I'm listening to songs that are like 6+ minutes somewhat regularly now, and like when you have longer songs like that, you know, there's only so many reasons you would make a really long song like that. Like Depeche Mode, for example, I don't think they've made a song that's under 4 minutes long in over 20 years. Like every song they have is 5 to 6 minutes minimum. And that's because their songs are like a regular song slowed down half tempo. Like so slow and very minimalistic but not to get into Depeche Mode, but like,
so that's the reason you might write
a long song, right? Or if you want to do what Metallica's doing and just have like a bunch of different parts and string them together that'll work together, but just you have too many parts to contain in a 4-minute song. It's got to be more than that. You know what I mean? Because they could take any of these riffs and write a whole another song based around that. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like it's hard to kind of, for me, not ever having written a metal song like this, like I know you did. We've talked before about how you wrote the metal songs that you and your brother wrote and stuff. And like you come up with riffs and then you put the riffs together and hopefully it works. Or if they don't work, you know, you separate them or whatever. And like when you guys wrote your Primal Waters albums, I know specifically you wrote them like in order. So you were like, we're going to write a whole song and that's this whole song. Now let's move on to the next song. Whereas to me, it would seem more organic or whatever of a process where you'd like, I guess the way I would do it would be like come up with a really cool part and then try to flesh that out as much as possible into something and then come up with another cool part for the next song.
Yeah.
Rather than like with metal, with this kind of stuff, it seems more like, okay, we have a really cool idea and we'll fit it here. And then we have this other cool idea and we'll put it over here. So let's do something in the middle, maybe to connect them or whatever. And it's more like putting like a puzzle together to get the whole image rather than like, you know, so many other genres of music. It's not like, that's not the approach at all.
No, the approach
is like,
and pop songwriting is to write around the chorus and everything is in reference to that.
Right. And that's not how this is.
No.
And so that's really interesting. It's like a different thing, you know, and I'm not saying I don't listen to music that incorporates all of these things, but this just is, when we're sitting here talking about it and like analyzing it and focusing on it, it's really interesting.
One of the things I was going to mention about this songwriting, because you did say something during Ride the Lightning that like, oh, they played a song and then they just did weird guitar stuff for 2 minutes afterwards and it had no point.
Right.
So, and I understand that there's a difference and I understand that it's significant, but most of these songs are basically the same thing except for you get at least a chorus at the end.
Right. And that's the thing that makes it okay for me.
And I guess, I mean,
coming back to the chorus
in a way, I guess I just don't really, I like this. I like Ride the Lightning.
Right.
It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. But like, if anyone here has watched any other videos on my channels dealing with literally any other style of music, you know the thing that I talk about the most in most of my videos is song structuring. Song structuring is so important to me because I just truly believe you need to come back to the chorus. And the fact that they're doing that, like, I cannot tell you how much that... If they didn't do that, I would not be enjoying that. I would not be enjoying this.
So weird to me.
I know. I totally know. Like, I'm really weird about that
because
stuff.
I have no problem with pop songwriting. I love it.
Right.
We'll have to listen to Olivia Rodrigo sometime.
I know. I still haven't listened to that.
When the new, especially if they ever announce a new one, and if you are administering one of those Olivia Rodrigo fan pages on Twitter, stop reposting stuff that's not true. You know how many times I've had to go on Google and be like, oh my god, is this track listing they really put up, is that real? Because like some
it's fake.
16-year-old girl goes and Photoshop something and it's fake, and I'm like, that doesn't happen with the bands that I like. Why is this happening? Like, why am I get all excited about new Olivia Rodrigo and then it's just not happening. The other thing about production stuff that I wanted to bring up, I like the way the snare sounds on this record.
Okay, you really liked it on Master of Puppets. You like the snare.
I might have been
Overselling it a little.
I might have been being a foil to you.
Okay.
A little bit. I like it for sure. This one I like.
Yep.
I would never in my life say I want a snare
That sounds like
that sounds like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's really not much fundamental there. It's all the hard stuff. The stuff I know that's a bad word. I have to figure out better way to.
It just works though.
It works in this, and there's room for everything else, and I get it. I like snares that sound like it's a fucking bomb going off.
Right. I was just gonna say, but that's what's so cool about this. Like, there's so much space in the room, in the mix. Like, there's so much space in the whole thing. And frequency wise, yes, but also just like the way that everything is happening. Like, there's moments of like this. If the snare was too much, and it took up too much space, it would make things feel messier. But the fact that it's so short,
oh, that's why it is. That's why it is what it is.
It's so short and tingy and like dry, and it works perfectly with with everything else.
I would have pulled my hair out.
I agree with you that
to try to make it sound like a bomb going off.
Yeah,
and it's like. This is get a little bit technical, but it will say audio engineers in the title for that. So we're going to talk about snare sounds for a minute.
Sure.
Maybe this is a little bit technical, but I have found that sometimes, depending on the way the thing was recorded and the sound of the instrument, blah, 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 sometimes what I like is I like on a kick or a snare to go find the fundamental, maybe boost it a little bit, which I know I'm not supposed to do, but I do it, and then go cut right afterwards.
Ah, okay.
Right? Let the fundamental be there and cut that. And then this was not even that long ago where the light bulb went off as I was making that move. And I'm like, this is what gives me that soft sound that not like soft, like you're not brushes, but like the round and full and
less harsh.
And not harsh. And then this is like the opposite of that. It's like they cut off the fundamental, boosted the junk that's right above it, but it works. And it sounds.
It does.
Did he change his freaking head every time? It sounds like a brand new snare head every song.
That's a good point too. I don't know, do I?
Like I don't normally notice that, but this sounds like a brand new snare.
And you know,
head
it's funny you say that too, because I was gonna say when I mentioned that splash cymbal that I've heard like 4 times across the whole album, I love it. But like, his kit has to be like really simple compared to a lot of drummers' kits, right? Like, he doesn't have a million cymbals and stuff going, does he? I'm sure he has, but like. Some drummers are just insane, and it's like too much.
Yeah.
But those people are usually doing like jazzier stuff, where it's like, okay, like there's all much more intricate and complex. Not that what he's doing isn't.
Does he have 4 toms? I think he has 4 toms. Is that it? Is it 5? I don't know. I mean, I'm not a drummer. I'm not a drum.
I don't know, but I mean, it just to me like it seems like hi-hat crashes.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much all the cymbals are ever doing.
I mean, that's
metal, though.
It might not have been done this way. Maybe it was consciously thought about, because a lot of this, I'm very surprised at the thought that went into the production of this record. I would have never told you before we listened to this tonight that I'd be like, you're going to hear all these production tricks that are in there. As I'm just like, it's Metallica and they play sweet riffs and
right.
But that's an interesting production thing too. Like to just, here's a sound that you'd never hear before, and then like you get it 4 times on the whole record.
Yeah, that's
that
true.
Makes it cool.
It's great.
Because the rest of the cymbals, like, I mean, kind of the whole time I haven't been caring. Like,
I've been trying to pay attention to him a little bit, just because he doesn't use like fully open hi-hats as much as I would expect.
But
there, I mean, there's obviously no like tingy hi-hats, like closed hi-hats. Yeah, but it's not like
time.
It's not splashy.
The overheads
open
are,
hi-hats.
but the overheads are. Not the playing, but the sound is splashy the whole time. There are like very few defined cymbal hits, right?
Yeah, you can pick when there are certain sides he's doing.
Right.
But other than that, for the most part, yes. That's kind of why that splashy thing that's off to the side, which I guess for you would be off to this way a little bit. It really does stand out a little bit when he hits it, which I really like. But yeah.
Are you noticing the guitar thing?
That it's way louder on one side?
Yes.
Consistently from the moment the album started?
No. Because I
did thought Harvest, or the one song I like, The Shortest Straw, felt more balanced, I would say.
Blackened, I thought at the beginning. I'm like, maybe Metallica broke themselves.
I don't think I paid attention to that during Blackened at all, and it wasn't until Unjustice for All.
And like
but it's like it's obviously more.
because
on the
and there's
left
been a
side.
couple times, God, I forget what song it was. Anyway, where there's a lead guitar going on, and the rhythm guitar that is in the right side, the
less
not
dominant.
main the not main James side, that it drops out, and it's supposed to be that way. You're supposed to just be getting in the right, and there's something else going on over here, and then this one comes back in, and as soon as it comes back in, I'm like, oh, and now it feels balanced, and then 10 seconds later, I think about it. I'm like, nope, it wasn't ever. It was just because it was gone and
then
it came back. And I'm like, oh boy, my head isn't going like this now.
Yeah.
But
I will
don't mind it.
I was just gonna say that I noticed it the whole time when I pay attention to it, but when I'm not thinking about it, it doesn't bother me. And I don't even think it bothers me when I do pay attention to it. Just like I said last time, I think it's just a matter of there's just slightly more information available to your ear to hear on the dominant side. Like they just tone down the high frequencies or whatever just a smidge on the non-dominant side. I don't necessarily think that it's even a volume thing, so much as it is just there's more presence in the guitar, whether that's EQing or whatever.
It might be the way that it was played. And I think
could be.
This is, if you guys haven't seen this on another video, this has been a thing of mine for like the last year, and it's actually driven me nuts. I have like had to like throw my headphones on the ground and stop listening to stuff and text Patrick in the middle of the day screaming,
do that.
why is every metal album like this?
Yeah.
Because I thought I was driving myself. I was driving myself crazy because I thought I was crazy.
Or you thought you were going deaf, probably.
And I thought I was going deaf too,
Yeah.
right? Like, why is this like this? And you don't know how many times I sat listening to music with my headphones.
You're flipping around. Yeah.
And like now, because I'm so obsessive about this, I have some stuff on the recording software that I use.
Yeah.
And I'm finishing some mixes now from stuff I tracked like a year ago, so I'm so responsible. And I have one of the plugins that I have. It's like a utility one that flips left and right. And so I will solo the guitar bus, and I will sit there, and I'll flip it, and I'll flip it, and I'll flip it. And I'm like, if those things aren't perfectly even, I'm going to be mad. And I right, and like the tonality and stuff is different, but like I don't want there to be lopsided.
Right.
And so many
and it's
modern
different
metal
people
records
playing
are like
each
that.
side, right?
Yeah, that's typically how I've been doing it, which
Yeah.
is could be a mistake.
Which I don't know if we have time to get into this, but I was going to ask you this: are there a lot of metal records where it's how we talk about reamping guitars? Are there like big, thick, heavy metal records where it's just like one performance and then it's just reamped and that's what's spread wide? Could you get like a big, thick sound doing that?
I would never try. I mean,
Wouldn't it make everything simpler if you could do that?
but it's not going to be heavy because the reason that you like
It's
if you have
the
two
human
oscillators on a
performance.
synthesizer
Yeah.
that you detune one of them to make it sound fat.
Yeah,
like
I know.
that's sort of
It's
number
the
one,
imperfection
tuning,
of the
yeah, that makes it sound bad.
But do you think that? I'm just curious. If how.
I mean, there's some of that, but like, I mean, what I.
And then if you did that, what if instead of having the one guitar over here, one guitar over here, guitar player over here, one guitar player over here, what if you did what I just said, and then you had the second guitar player do it, and you did the exact same thing with different tones?
Oh yeah, right. And then
Right, so you have
spread
this
them all the way
performance
out.
spread wide for both. Would that give you a
Yeah,
huge
that you
sound
have
too?
guy one, guy two, right, 1 2 1 2, and then 1 2 1 2, and like have
Yes,
guitar number
essentially,
2
yes.
on the left and the right, and
Yes.
guitar number 1 on the left and the right.
Yes. Have you ever tried that?
Yeah, I've tried stuff like that, and I think that like some of like maybe the more pop.
Well, I just wonder if like less heavy things, if that is that like a trick that is done in other styles of music more to make things feel like, because sometimes I'll listen to like a rhythm part and I'm like, there's no way two people played this. Like it sounds so like one thing.
That's a common-ish thing, and some people
Yeah.
were saying that James did play all the rhythm guitars on these first few records, which I would totally believe. Why, if you have James Hetfield in your band, why wouldn't you hear him play rhythm guitar and everything? But like that's a thing that like maybe live in the way that the song was written, like two guys both play the same part, which is a big part of the reason that you have two guitars in a metal band.
In a metal band, right?
For that fat sound, because 85% of the time you're playing the exact same thing.
Right.
That's very broad, I know. Correct me in the comments.
Well, there's
Somebody that's
harmony
done that.
parts, but other than that, you're playing.
But a
pretty much
lot
the
of
same
time,
thing.
right, and it just makes
Oh,
it
yeah.
sound fatter. But one thing that is common is that the guy that's not as good, or like people go back and forth, like, oh, I wrote this song, so I'm playing all the rhythm guitars,
Hmm.
and I wrote this song, so I'm playing all the rhythm guitars on this one, because you can get that rhythmically tighter thing, And also maybe, and I don't think this is just the crummy bands that I've been in. I think it's everybody that, like, when you get into the recordings, or at least everybody at a certain level, it might be different if, like, I mean, Revocation doesn't have this happen to them. But Metallica might have. That, like, you get to the recording studio and you find out that the guy that didn't write the song doesn't know the parts.
Right, doesn't playing it
Like he's been playing it wrong the whole time. And, like, that sounds fine. But, like, then when you really put it under the microscope, like, it's not.
That's a very common thing at a recording studio. A band comes in and they're like, "Wait, you're playing what?"
Yeah, right. And so, but that rhythmic tightness, like that can be hard to get because, like, especially when you're playing really fast, stoppy stuff. Like, there's so much on this record.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, it can be really hard for two different people to, like, do that with that sort of. The performance is still going to be different, and the notes are not going to happen at the same time because we're human. Even James Hetfield can't do that. You can go listen to that part in 1 where he starts that, they're not perfect, which makes it better, I would argue, and I like that.
Because there's the human.
But now, you would never have that.
Right.
I would, on that part, if I was recording a band and they, like, showed me that and there's, like, a part like that, I'm like, oh, well, I know what part I'm going to go audio quantize, and I'm going to make that part absolutely clinically perfect.
Right.
And to make it, like, right.
Yeah, for sure.
It's I like that it's not, but.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Anyway.
Let's get to the next one.
Yeah.
And then I still have one of
this was going to be a shorter video, and here we are.
That's all right. We can cut some of that stuff we did earlier when I was messing around. So. Okay.
To Live Is to Die.
To Live Is to Die, which sounds like the title of a James Bond movie. So we'll see. Maybe there's an orchestra on this track.
And Adele. I think Adele's on this song.
What the hell is with the fading in? Oh, this is the third one.
Fade in.
What the hell?
I like it.
It's pretty rare that you get a fade in ever. Yet to do it on 3 songs. I wonder if you listen to the album without stopping, that would probably be a really cool, you know.
We ruined it, Patrick.
Oh.
Tell us how we ruined it in the comments.
You should have listened to the whole thing without saying a single word. In fact, you should have...
We encourage you to do that. Actually, hold on. We're going to start this song over. We absolutely encourage you to go do that. I'm trying to look directly into the camera. This is a reaction video. You should go listen to music.
Yeah,
and not listen to anything.
Yeah.
And not, like, have to hear anybody talk.
Yeah, just listen to the band album by itself.
Go throw your phone in your toilet and go put your headphones on.
Go get your vinyl record
and
that you know you have.
lay face down in your couch.
Yeah.
Don't let your mom tell you to do the dishes.
Laying in bed is one of my favorite ways to listen to music. It's generally how I experience things the first time if I'm not reacting to them like this.
And
with headphones. These headphones.
Right. And, like, not walking around with your stupid earbuds. And how do people
especially not in public. Stop doing that,
so
you idiot.
Freaking loud. And when you're in an audio program and you have your earbuds so loud that when you pull the one out that your teacher can hear it when you're 35 feet away, why are you even in the audio program? Because you're not going to be able to fucking hear.
In just a few years.
Yeah, right? Oh my God. Anyway, sorry. We're going to start To Live Is to Die again.
Okay, To Live Is to Die. Fading it in, baby. Now this is 9 minutes 48 seconds, right? It's hard to see from here.
The penultimate track.
It's tiny. Yes.
Yes, it is 9:48.
I like that it's starting this way. Well, I don't like that it's fading in, but with the acoustic guitars. We haven't had as much acoustic guitar on the album at all. Just one song other than this one.
Clean electrics in multiple
This is
spots.
clean electric?
No, this is acoustic. But
Yeah, we've had cleaner electric guitars, but
I mean, that's how the album starts with clean electric.
yeah, but I'm saying, like, I like the acoustic guitars.
Yes.
Especially tasty stuff like this. There's nothing cooler than, like, a lead acoustic guitar.
That snare drum is handled completely differently here than it is in 95%.
And I feel like he's playing
of the
softer, too.
Just quieter.
You think? Yeah.
I knew you were gonna hate that.
That's garbage. What was the point of that? You just wasted my first minute of this song. Okay, let's forget that and just enjoy this. Is this in a higher key?
No,
No?
I don't think so.
I like that, like, is it like a... There's like a in the guitars, like a string noise or a fret noise or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's got to be intentional.
Yeah, it's left hand muting.
It's really cool.
There's bass in there. You can hear it.
Yep.
Clear as day.
I'm just noticing way more fret noise on this.
There's been a few spots on this album.
We're at 2 minutes and 25 seconds yet. Yeah, no
You could
vocals.
drive a truck through the center. The snare and the kicker there. There's like
Yep.
nothing else.
That's where the bass goes.
It's there enough.
You can hear the bass, yes. I think it would sound better if it was louder, for sure, but... Interesting that the lead guitar is on the same... It's leaning to the same side that the lead rhythm guitar is on, you know what I mean?
That is weird.
Like, why not balance that out
That
with
was
the other
another
side?
part that I noticed
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yep. There's those fret noises. Is this an instrumental song? Dude, they have a
told you
9.5
not to
minute
ask
long
me, but I'm
instrumental
pretty
song?
sure this
Oh
is
my god.
It is.
Okay, alright, well, sit back for some solos, people. We got some solo time here. That was strange. This is cool.
It's like the first like AM radio thing that we've
Yes,
heard.
100%.
Yeah.
That's the guitar turn, knob turn. Is the first guitar player to do that famous for doing that? That's not like someone that's known for like Jimi Hendrix. Was like, "Ugh." No.
I don't know that is a thing. Yeah. There are a lot of guitar techniques like that, though. Right?
I'm
They're
sure.
Like, oh, this is the first guy that did that.
It does give that extra layer of like lushness, like strings and stuff behind it. Oh yeah. Still kind of that lo-fi feeling there to the guitar in the middle.
Yeah, the clean guitars are louder than the solo.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Wait, the hi-hat is on the wrong side.
Oh, it's on the correct side for me right now.
I haven't noticed that, because the cymbals are still washing the full record.
I think that's where it's been the whole time.
Yeah, I'm sure it has.
Yeah. Key change.
Oh, come on. You've done way worse versions of this on your music.
You should never speak in a song. Ever. It's unacceptable. I hate it when bands do that. It literally can ruin a whole album for me. It doesn't ruin this, but like, I guess at least there were some lyrics on this song, but like, oh my god. Are there any Metallica songs where it's just the bass and the drums for a little while? Like in the verses or something, and then the guitars come back in?
Nothing comes to mind.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me so much, but like, that is kind of the core of so many bands, you know? Guitar goes away while
Second verse, yeah, no guitar.
This is disappointing to me. Huh. Yeah, I really wish this would have been like a whole nother song. I mean, this is a song, but like to me, it's just kind of wasted that it's instrumental. Huh. And it's so weird. Like I know, but just. Is that the guitar amps in there? The amp noise? What was that? Oh, they're fading it, cross-fading again. Those idiots.
I like it.
Just write the parts so that it works from one into the next. Come on. I know you're good enough musicians to do that. You don't need to cross-fade a cool acoustic part in and out. Like, it would have been cool to have a whole song like this, where they used acoustic guitars. And he sang, and it was an acoustic song. You know? I know that's not Metallica. I get it. I know. But nothing else matters. Well, I guess we're going into the next one. Okay, this is Dyers Eve. Now this song's gonna feel like it rips because of what came before it. I talk about that all the time, album song structuring from song to song, and how that can be so important.
Yeah, and the low toms are on the left too, which is backwards as far as I'm concerned, but...
Okay. They always do that. Fast song at the beginning, fast song at the end. This one's... I'm really curious how it's going to end. Because remember, I was disappointed with Master of Puppets that it just kind of ended, and it wasn't like some big thing. That's cool.
That is cool.
That is... I love it. You think when whoever wrote that riff wrote it, they were like, okay, now you do this here.
Yeah, I mean, that's how Metallica songs get written is. The guitar tones are different on this song. They're not quite as bright. Or they're not quite as pokey in the high.
I guess. It doesn't feel that different sonically though.
It's so fast.
Maybe that's why. Oh, by the way, I did have to edit one song on Master of Puppets. He says the F word twice.
Oh, and Master of Puppets.
Yeah, and I think he just did it again right there.
think so, too.
It was the last song on both albums. Hide it at the end so those parents don't really hear it. They'll never be able to stick around this long. God, that sounds so difficult to play.
Kind of because it's not super tightly edited. I mean, it totally works, but
Yeah,
like, that's,
yeah, but it is. You're right. It is a little wishy-washy.
yeah,
To me, I mean, that kind of adds to the charm of it,
I would agree.
I think. That I could do, though.
I know.
Just got to get a whammy bar and I'm all set. Do a little Godsmack tutorial. Oh. Oh, that's cool. Whoa. Total tonal shift there. Who decided that the triplet was like the foundation for like heavy riffs? You know what I mean? Is it just like a natural thing that your body would do?
Yeah.
Because it's the most notes you can fit into the space of like one quarter note or whatever, right? Like you couldn't physically play. You couldn't go da 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 da. You know, it's got to be da 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 da.
Oh, but those aren't triplets.
Are they not?
Those are heavy metal triplets. It's 2/8 and a 16th, or it's 2/16 and an eighth, or the other way around. Those are heavy metal triplets. Triplets are helicopter sound.
Right.
And that's it.
Okay.
We were talking over the end.
Well, that's all right. It wasn't that interesting anyway. What, you want to listen to it again?
Yeah, let's listen to the end. Just
Yeah,
like,
you're probably right. You're probably right. I love the like transitions. On there, it's just like
that one's so good.
yes. That's almost like un-Metallica-y almost. I don't know. Based on everything we've heard so far. So this one feels like it could have been on Ride the Lightning, this album, or this song. Just do it like a whole bunch in a row. That's what I want. I never heard any other band do that ever. Bit of a punky feel there. Ooh, the offbeat there. Interesting. And then just cutting it dry, like no ring out, nothing. Like it's literally blah.
Done.
Okay. Let's load a song from Master of Puppets.
Okay.
Just because I'm curious. Way quieter.
Way quieter.
Way quieter. Wow. There were no shout vocals on Justice, which is a bummer.
No, there were. Kind of. It was done differently.
I'm nothing like that at all. There was background. There was overdub.
But the guitar tones, I didn't realize this until now, but I've been holding my face in a way because there was so much high frequency in the guitars.
You think?
Yeah. I can tell. Like, I can feel my face relax from listening to that.
Really?
Maybe it's just because it's so much louder. But
listening to that, I think that Justice sounds way better.
I mean, I don't know.
like overall, but also I think just like
I don't know that I would disagree, but it's way different.
it's different. The guitar tone was much more consistent on not consistent. You know what? I'm not even going to try to explain what I was just thinking because it'd be take me too long and I wouldn't know how to say it. But yeah, wow, obvious difference. That's really cool.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that you would hang so well, but I guess why not? Because Injustice for All is great.
Yeah, no, my favorite of the three for sure. I would say there were things that I really there's not really too much I would complain about that. I do think that I wish that the instrumental songs on every album would be taken off and that they would just write another song. That's what I wish. Now, I will say a lot of people kind of got on me for talking over the Orion for Master of Puppets, and like I totally agree. 100%, I screwed that up. When I was editing the Master of Puppets video, I was listening to it and I was like, this is probably the coolest part of the whole album and the thing I would have liked the most, but I just talked over the whole thing. So I do apologize for that, but it is what it is. This one, the instrumental song was like literally nothing special. I didn't think at all. It was just more riffs without any singing, pretty much. And then there was the atrociously bad, let's say a couple stupid lines in the middle of the song. Weird, very weird. But overall, I loved the album.
Yeah.
Loved it. It's interesting that they chose the two fastest songs on the album to be the front and the back. I think they did that on Master of Puppets as well. Mm-hmm. Master of Puppets starts with Battery and it ends with
thrashiest, yeah.
Well, yes, the fastest, like thrashiest riff, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. But I think probably the main reason I liked And Justice for All so much was because it was just overall slower and groovier.
I guess now that I'm really, I'll have to think about this for the next like 6 months. But
in terms of which is your favorite,
which one is my favorite? Because I think that maybe for average consistency, maybe I like Justice better.
Oh, okay.
But
the highest highs,
I mean, Battery is probably my favorite Metallica song.
Right.
And it is like such a great
album opener.
Album opener, and then Master of Puppets too. And I think that those two songs might make Master. It's hard. I don't know. It's whatever. It doesn't even matter. Who freaking cares? Like,
No, for sure. That's a lot of the time when I'm talking about like one of my favorite album in a band's catalog. Usually, I'll mention what I think is like most consistent, and then you have to I always talk about like the high points of Master of Puppets reach the high points of And Justice, and like for me, I think in both of those categories, I would say And Justice for All. Maybe not. I would say that.
Have you ever done? Maybe you do this, but. We were bringing up at school a long time ago. We were talking about trying to get the kids to talk about music they actually listen to. And the other teacher said, don't tell me the stuff that you think you listen to. Said, go to your Spotify stats and tell me what you actually listen to. Because, right, like those things are often somewhat different.
Yeah. That wouldn't work for me.
It wouldn't.
Because I mostly listen to CDs.
And I was just going to say that would not work for me because I will never listen to those two Metallica albums. I'll never listen to them again as much as I did 15 or 18 years ago.
Right.
When I listened to them constantly.
Right. So it wouldn't be an accurate representation.
Right. So I couldn't even tell you, like, which one did I go back to more? Because there was a time where I was absolutely obsessed with Master of Puppets, and there was a time where I was absolutely obsessed with Justice, and I listened to them. Like, that was all I listened to for like months at a time.
For me, and you know this about me too, like, my rule is you never listen to the same album twice in a row. Ever.
Yeah.
I've never done that, ever. When you listen to something, you put something else on, and you listen to something else next time. And then when you can't stand it anymore and you have to listen to it again, that's when you listen to it again, and it is just as good of an experience as it was the first time.
I guess so. That's probably accurate. But what I would do is back in the days when we had CD players,
you just put it in your car and you never left.
I probably left both of those CDs in the CD player for months at a time.
Yeah.
And then when that album was over, I would listen to the radio. And then probably the next time I got into my car, I put the CD back on
Right.
and
right.
listened to it, and then when it was over, I listened
Yeah.
to the radio.
Yeah, that's not, I've never been that kind of person. And I know that I'm pretty rare in that case, that never ever listening to the same album twice in a row. I don't think I've ever done it, ever. And, but I'm like that in other areas of life too. You know, like my favorite movie, I try to watch as little as possible,
Yeah.
you know, so that it's a truly special experience when I get to do it again. You know, go to my favorite restaurant only a couple times a year at most, you know, stuff like that. Like it really, I feel like it allows me to appreciate it more in that moment. However, that's why I would never say that I'm like a super expert on certain things, because I don't just like dive so deep into it and listen to any, like there are almost no songs that I know all the words to and could sing the whole thing all the way through. I don't even know if there's a single song that I didn't write myself that I could sing all the way through every word.
Yeah.
I don't even think that exists.
Huh.
So like, but I know for most people that what they do is they just consume the thing that they love like so much until they know every single piece of it as much as they possibly can, and then they can move on to the next thing.
Well, for
You
sure.
know?
And
But that's just not how I do stuff.
I think the thing, because that's an interesting thing, because that's totally what I do. And there's like, at least especially when I was younger, there were hundreds and hundreds of songs that I could sing you every word and probably
Right.
sing you all the guitar solos and whatever.
Yeah.
But what I have noticed about that is because I find myself freaking out about female pop stars pretty regularly. And I will do that with that music,
Oh, okay.
where I will just listen to the same stupid pop song over and over every time I get in the car. Chink, 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 and just
To the
and do
next
it.
one.
But then eventually that stuff gets to the point where I just can't, and it's not
Can't
true with
stand it
everyone,
anymore.
but like and I never want to hear that song again, and every time I hear it I die a little inside.
Overdo it. Yeah.
But with this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
right? Like I've heard Blackened as many times as I've heard WAP. I still like WAP.
One thing I was going to say, and I was going to bring it up that whole time, but I couldn't find a good time to do it, was I forgot to bring this up last time, and then it didn't fit into that conversation either, so I'll tell you now. I think I mentioned last time that I was listening to music from 1986 because I wanted to just see what was consistent around that year or whatever. So what I did was, this is not from 1986, but what I did was I just told Google, I was like, hey, Google, play 80s thrash metal. And the first song started, and I was like, hey, Google, what are we listening to make sure it wasn't Metallica? And I let it play through like 4 songs, 2 of which were like the most awful thing I've ever heard in my life. And I wish I would have remembered what those bands were, because they were just trash. It sounded terrible. It was terrible performance, and it was just unlistenable garbage. But the other 2 bands, I was like, this is surprisingly cool. And I remembered both of their names. Hey, Google, stop. Oh, I should have let her see what she was going to play for 80s thrash. Do you recognize what that was?
I think it was Megadeth, but I'm not.
Oh,
a
it probably
Megadeth
was.
guy.
I'm sure that's probably one of the first things she. So one of the songs she played was a song from the band Carcass.
Dude, Carcass rips. Dude, I'm gonna go see Carcass next month.
Really?
Yeah,
What are
I'm
the
in
odds of
Kansas
that?
City.
But I was listening to it and I was like, what is this? This is actually really cool. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if I said 80s thrash metal, so I assume it was a song from the 80s.
But it might not have been.
But it
Dude,
could have been
because-
something
because
new.
Carcass has turned out a couple really awesome records lately.
It was legit awesome song. It was really cool. I really liked it. Then the other one they played that I was kind of like, this is really different and weird, was a band that was called, I think, Municipal Waste or something like that.
Yeah, like Municipal Waste.
Yeah. So is that
They're like one of my favorite bands.
really? I was listening. I was like, this is actually kind of cool. Like,
Municipal Waste is awesome.
because I was just trying to like see in context of Metallica, and I was like, this.
But Municipal Waste, I'm almost certain that Google did not do that right, because those guys aren't that old. There's no way that they turned out stuff in the 80s.
Oh, it could be.
But
maybe
it's-
she just heard thrash.
And it is that vibe for sure.
For sure. Like, I have no clue. I just, because whenever a song comes on, I'm just like, what is this? And she tells me what it is, you know?
Formed in 2001. That sounds
Really?
right to me. Yeah, those guys
Wow.
are like our age.
Dang. Well, so I was just like, I was kind of shocked because the Carcass song I remember specifically being like, this is like a cool. It's felt less frenetic than the Metallica we had listened to up to that point,
Yes.
which was just Ride the Lightning. So it felt less like technical and more like, don't want to say groovy, but more like consistent across the song. I listened to the whole song, and I really liked that. And then the Municipal Waste, I remember thinking like
I can see how you wouldn't like that.
that it was weirder, and not necessarily for me, but I found it interesting enough that I was like, oh, let's make a note of this and mention it to Chris. But I would definitely say that I liked the Carcass song. I would definitely say that. The Municipal Waste piqued my interest, but not enough for me to be like, okay, let's go get a Carcass album or a Municipal Waste. Municipal Waste is
Municipal.
Municipal?
Just say municipal.
municipal.
Like a municipality, like a town. It's just municipal.
I get it, but that's a really
municipal.
It's either the best album or band name of all time or the worst. I can't decide.
Dude, have you ever seen the guy that does good band name, bad band name?
No,
Like on Instagram? Oh, Patrick,
like that.
they're
I'll have to look
just
that up.
little like 30-second videos. They're
Yeah.
very, very funny.
I'll have to look that up.
Sgt. Pepper's is a masterpiece. We know this. The Beatles spelled an animal's name wrong, and they tried to make a cute pun while they did it. The Beatles is a bad band name. I don't give it to.
I don't give it to! I don't give it to!
But Municipal Waste is I love Municipal Waste. I'm just surprised that we haven't shot that many of these videos, but yeah, I'm surprised I didn't wear a Municipal Waste shirt to one of these things.
Well, I wish I would have mentioned it last time. You could have worn it today, but you did mention that band, whatever it is.
Yeah, I
last
did. That's
time.
why
So I'm glad
I did
you
this
wore
on
that.
purpose.
So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there and say that I did that, and it would have probably been more beneficial for us to chat about the two songs I thought were just garbage trash, but I didn't remember
I actually
those.
don't know if I want to know because they're probably
Probably a
stuff that I
band that
really
yields like your favorite band in the whole world. It ain't Skeleton Witch. I know that. I know you like Skeleton Witch a lot.
I do like Skeleton Witch a lot.
I guess since we're not talking about too much else and we've almost recorded for 3 hours,
I know.
which I can cut some of that stuff out at the beginning probably, but I think we can probably end this here. I really honestly think if you would be willing to, we should do this for the Black Album.
For sure.
Before 72 Seasons. Like, I don't feel any need to do load and reload and stuff. I don't know if it would be beneficial to do that. Like,
It would probably be interesting.
if we had time and you didn't live far enough away that I felt like it was a burden to ask you to come here to do this, like, I would be like, let's do any album you want. Like, I don't care. I'm game to do this at all, anytime, for anything. And to me, it's fun to have someone here to react with. I don't even care what we're listening to. It's just fun.
It is.
And it's
This is
way
a fun thing.
and now that we can do this, I figured out a way, listener, I don't know if you're a watcher, I don't know if you figured it out or not, but I have a setup here so that we can hear each other while we're listening
It
to
was
music.
a little shaky before this audio.
Yeah, and so like I feel like this setup worked really nice, and the fact that we could talk to each other with our somewhat normal volume voices and not have to scream will be easier for me to edit the video. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I would totally be down to do all the Metallica albums. Like, now that I know Seek and Destroy is one of the probably 7 songs that's on their first album or whatever, like, I know I got that. I like that one. Probably fades out. I've only heard the live version, but like, I don't know if it would be interesting to do that, but I also think it would be really beneficial to do Black Album. Because one, I wonder if you would like it way more than you think you would.
I might.
And I wonder if I would like it way more than I think I would. And I wonder how it would sound contextually. Because I do have the remastered version of the album. And I've told you before, it's pretty much just enormous, massive kick drum is like the most present thing on the entire album. And I think that that's a remaster thing. On the original version, I don't think it's really like that as much. I think it's mixed much less crazy like that.
I know some of these songs. Whatever. I don't know the names of any songs. So
He just looked at load.
For me to like pretend like I know Metallica songs based on the names of the songs is ridiculous because
on this one, the only one I know is King Nothing.
And
But also, isn't
there's another one on there that you know. Until It Sleeps. If you don't know, you might not know the name of the song, but you know that song.
that first one?
Until It Sleeps.
Okay, but it doesn't sound familiar at all. But like, isn't it interesting that we go from 9 tracks at most on every album up to this point, to then 12 on here and however many on there, 14 or whatever it looks like.
This album opens with a song called "Ain't My Bitch." Does that really like fit in with the Metallica ethos that we've had so far, like Holier Than Thou and Through the Never and Orion and whatever else? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
It's a chunky album.
Well,
It's just a chunky album. And look at their pic. They look like U2. Oh my gosh.
It's come on, we know it's painful for all involved.
Do you think there's any way that I will listen to that and it'll be my favorite Metallica
I'm
album?
sure it will be. Patrick is the only. I mean, you guys obviously don't know Patrick as well as I do, but when I talk about Patrick to people who haven't met him, I said he's the only person whose opinion I know is actually factually wrong.
I'm pretty sure everybody that watches any of my videos would agree with you based on the comments for sure. Okay, well, we'll end it for now. I don't know what we're going to do anymore. I know for sure we're doing 72 seasons.
Yep.
And I'm really looking forward to that. If I can convince you to come over one more time before that comes out, we should do the Black Album, but we'll have to see. If you really want us to do the Black Album or Kill 'Em All or any of the other albums in their catalog, let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Write a comment about that. If you've listened for 3 hours up to this
If we get one
point,
with a bunch of upvotes, we'll probably do it. So
yeah, I would
know.
definitely consider doing whatever. So, thank you very much for watching. I won't drag out the ending here. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time, whether that's for 72 seasons or whatever album it happens to be.